want to go on stage. Well, good evening and welcome to
Richie and Rose.
Yes, folks, we are back. Man, it feels like forever, doesn't it?
It does.
It does.
So you had a nice time away in Spain.
I did, yeah.
What did you get up to?
Why are you pushing my chair off the screen again?
Oh, sorry, I like it.
I know.
What did you get up to in Spain?
Well, listen, when you said you need to get home, Rich, urgently, look, this is a So I made every effort to come home to you, love, just to see you and the kid, you know? So, yeah, I had a good time. I was out there with Paul Thorpe for my birthday, and that was
Happy
good.
birthday
51st birthday. I had a good time. Yeah,
Did you?
4 days, yeah.
I don't think you've put these mics on.
They are on. They are.
I don't think you've put these particular ones on.
I think you're
I'd
wrong.
like
Should we
you to
double
check
check
them.
Yes, they're on. There we go. I think you're wrong.
Okay.
Are we going to start this show with
Very
another
rare.
argument like we normally do?
Yep.
I've only
It's
been away
very
for 4
rare
nights.
that
I've only
I'm
been away for
wrong.
4 nights. What's been going
It
on?
wasn't bad. Oh my God, it's been probably one of the worst weeks of my life.
Is it?
Yeah. No, I'm not joking. So please don't mock it.
I'm
Mock it, you little bitch.
not
Literally.
mocking it.
Listen, when you see your child in hospital,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be one of the worst feelings ever, because you feel like you're out of control, because you want to fix and you want to resolve and you can't. And then you've got doctors who are incompetent, or you've got the NHS bank staff that can't speak our language. And then you've got other people coming in who are contradicting what the other doctor said. And then everybody's having to get together and then they have to repeat a story. And you're just watching your child completely kind of, disappearing in front of your eyes because he's reacting to stuff. It's just horrible.
So you're telling me the NHS is not doing a very good job, man?
Third world country,
Third
mate.
world country, innit? It's like Gaza. It's like most hospitals in the UK, look, they've been bombed.
Do you know, somebody actually accused me of being ridiculous when I said that before. But actually, I spoke to a nurse and I said to the nurse, look, you know, I'm looking at the way people are being treated and like the way that you're having to go through this each process. And it's third world. And she said, I have to agree.
Yeah. Did you miss me when I was away?
No, not really. I actually was very grateful for the break. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
I tell the truth and do
well,
not
actually,
lie.
I think it was last night you told me, because we were catching up on everything going on. We did the live stream, didn't we? And you were like, just go back to fucking Alicante, Richie. So, yeah, it was a hell of a welcome home that was. Thank you so much for that, my love. But, yeah, we did the stream yesterday. We're thankful to Barack as well, who
he was what a legend.
Who gave us permission to use his live stream. And we were streaming for 5 hours yesterday, the launch of Advance UK's draft policies on culture and immigration. And we had some guests on doing some reporting for us. Dave Atherton, our friend.
Dave Atherton, who is supposed to be on here, but it appears that he hasn't actually woken up from his nap.
He did. He messaged me. He says, please phone me, which you've just done, because I'm going for an afternoon nap. He's probably been on the wine already. But normally wine o'clock is about 7, 8 o'clock for him. So I'm surprised he's hit the bottle early. But hey, never mind. We got some guests on tonight. We got the wonderful Edward on with us tonight.
We have.
I said Edward, they're not Howard, because I normally do that, don't I?
He had to look at me to make sure he got the name right.
So
Edward.
I always mix them both up.
Edward Oakenfull, who is the treasurer for Advance UK. Now, he was obviously there yesterday and embracing the vibe, and I want to know what it felt like to be there. So I'd like to get him on.
Well, we'll get him on in a moment. Hang on a minute, love.
I want to get him on.
I haven't finished my introduction yet.
Come on then.
Right, so I was going to say, well, we watched the whole thing, didn't we, right? I was very impressed with Kathy Jingle. I think I've said it right, Gingle.
Brilliant.
The Conservative woman. I thought what she said about the Islamification of our country and how the pushback needs to happen and everything, I thought she was outstanding.
Yep.
I think the chap who was the ex-veteran, Andy, I think it was, I mean, Edward will tell us a bit more when he comes on, outstanding as well. And of course, Ben, in his own way, is always outstanding. You know, he's the way that he delivers.
He's like cutesy.
You know, if when people do slides, PowerPoints, right, I'd switch off. Like, it's like PowerPoints. Oh my gosh, it's going to be boring. But Ben made it engaging. You know, I think he had it was packed as well. The Emmanuel Centre, it was a sellout. So this is probably one of the biggest events, I think. You know, the launch was big, but this seemed bigger to me, that Advance UK have done. And we were due to go, but unfortunately we couldn't because of health reasons with his son. And that's a priority. So we live streamed from your home, didn't we? Because we couldn't leave the home. So we did, or did we not? I can't remember. I said something I shouldn't have said. But no one knows where we are. Anyway, moving on quickly. I've just had dagger eyes there. I don't know why. Anyway, let's bring our guest on, shall we?
Yes.
Edward,
quickly,
good evening.
let him save the day.
Good evening, good evening. How are you?
Hi, Edward. Oh, wait.
1 second.
You go.
There we go.
Your mic was muted.
A story of my life. Yeah, great to be back on your show. And Richie, I'm glad you had a really good break. And Rogue, I know it's been a tough week for you, but I'm sure that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. So yesterday you went. What were you going, like, what expectation were you going with? You go in there, you're feeling that vibe, you're kind of energized, you're excited. Was it what you thought it was going to be?
Well, first of all, walking along the street to the venue, I walked along a street that ran parallel with it, and there were 6 police vans. And you're thinking, wow, this is, these guys have been tipped off, something big's happening here. Then I walked around the corner onto the actual street where the event was. And again, there were another 6 police vans all waiting there. I got to the venue an hour before the thing was to start, just as the protesters were forming on the other side of the road. Yeah,
is that them? The unwashed, the unclean?
Yeah.
I find it ironic. They're there stand up to Tommy Robinson not being there. Tommy Robinson wasn't even there, was he?
That's right. Yeah, he never made it in the end. Then you enter the venue, and what a beautiful church this was. The entrance foyer just had so much atmosphere and history to it as well. You know, you felt that over the hundreds of years that the building's been there, all the activities that must have happened there. Then you walk into the main area itself, and it's just like an amphitheater with lots of spiritual, as you'd imagine, lots of spiritual writing, tributes to God and things like this, and a very, very fitting venue for such an event for Advance UK to launch, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we listened intently to obviously the policies, because Rogue, you were posting them out on X as he was doing them, weren't you?
Yeah.
And I found them. Yeah, we were talking to Basil. We had Basil on the show with us doing the whole commentary for the 5 hours. Basil the Great, and he's a font of knowledge. He's a great guy to have on, and he was just going through some of the policies. And one of the things he said before we went live, he was hoping that Ben would push the Atherton window a bit further from all of the parties. And I think the policies, the draft policies that he put out, have certainly done that. They've nudged further to the right, if you like. I mean, it's not the term I'd like to use, but you know what I mean by that. To the right of where things should be. I mean, some of the things that we're going to go through tonight, some of them, to some people, sound extreme, but some of us, they're not. They're returning back to those values on culture, and we'll come to immigration in a moment, that we had many years ago that we've lost. And it's about refinding our roots, and our identity was one of the emphasis Ben had on stage. He was saying, no, we need to go back to our cultural roots, our Christian heritage, our constitution, all those things that made us great, but because we've lost touch with that. That's what came across for me. But we're going to put some of the policies up. I want to talk to you about them. Dave Atherton.
I would just say on the Atherton window, I think a few years ago, some of these topics that are being discussed openly today, even on BBC and channels like this in The Guardian now, they're talking about some of these issues. So the Atherton window really has moved dramatically. The icing on the cake is those policies that Ben announced yesterday. I think some terrific policies that will really garner a lot of enthusiasm up and down our country when people read them and digest them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, we've got another wonderful gentleman that's coming on in a few moments, because he's in the backstage waiting. He's one of our favourites as well, isn't he? We love him.
He's amazing.
Yeah, it is, of course, the founder of Fair Fuel, and a wonderful gentleman. And he was there yesterday as well. So he's going to talk us through it. So Howard Cox, welcome again to the Richie and Rogue Show.
Hello to both of you, and hello, Edward.
Hey, Howard, I'm sorry I didn't get to say hello yesterday. We were just so busy meeting hundreds of people yesterday. It was absolutely fantastic.
That's no excuse.
No, you were
Howard
busy.
is the man to meet. He's no excuse at all.
Richie, every time I looked over, he was being interviewed by some YouTubers, and I wanted his autograph, but I never managed to catch him.
You can't miss him. He's about 7 foot tall, can you, Howard? He's such a tall man. He stands up there. But Howard, we're just talking to Edward there about the event yesterday. It looked absolutely fantastic. You were there. Tell us your take of what happened yesterday, how you felt it went.
Well, it was, I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I thought, we're a new party, we're new things. So how would it come across professionally? But when you meet the people, and I hope you can still see me. Suddenly you've gone black on my computer, but you can see me.
No, you've kind of gone
2 seconds.
Still.
Bear with us. You might lose us for a second. Just bear with us. We're going to have some technical issues here, folks.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll come back in.
Okay.
Okay, Edward, you're still there?
Edward's still there. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. So, I mean, you were talking about the entrance as you walked in. I mean, this the Emmanuel Centre, the church there. I think Claire Fox has held a number of events there with the Academy of Ideas prior, isn't she? So I know the venue, and it's a spectacular venue, isn't it? I mean, you look up to see the dome above on the ceiling there, and the kind of murals around there, and the scripture that's written across everything.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Very
That's
beautiful
amazing.
building.
Very spiritual and like I say, perfectly apt place to launch our first policies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So after I've made it through the entrance, and people had looked at me and thought I was Ben Habib, and people coming up to me and saying, "Are you Ben Habib?" and saying, "No, I'm just Edward Oakenfull." So after I'd ran that gauntlet and got into the venue, it was walk down the steps to the front, and absolutely amazing set that had been laid out for all the speeches.
Do you know what? I bet, walking in, because you remember at the Newcastle, you got a massive standing ovation. I bet you were just like, oh gosh, here we go again. And to be fair, when we were going through Baraka's live, because we were having to stream his live, because it wasn't actually streamed via advance, it just wasn't there at all. So we had to do it. We saw you and people were like, oh my gosh, is that Ben? I was like, no, that's Edward. So hi Sharon, hello Gary. So so you've gone in. There's quite a large. It's like 900, wasn't it? 100,000.
It was 950 capacity, and it was full up. Yeah, we sold out the whole building.
That's amazing. And so you've gone in, and there is this level of expectation, isn't there? Because I know if I'd have been there, I'd been like, what's going to be said? Because it was all kept secret. It was all like watertight. Nobody knew anything. And we're there just kind of going, what is coming? So people were there. Were there lots of kind of assumptions? Were people guessing what was going on? Or was it just, we'll wait and see?
Anticipation in the atmosphere, and people chit-chatting and talking, and just with lots of enthusiasm. For me, one of the highlights was just talking to people, and there were people from all over our kingdom there. I talked to people from Wrexham, from Wales. A couple of people had flown down from Inverness up in the Scotland. Devon, Cornwall was represented. Several people flew in from Northern Ireland, and Don Keith flew in from America to attend the conference. Don was such a lovely, charming man. I mean, I got on really well with Don.
Yeah,
he's great, isn't he? We've had him on the show before, and he's just so lovely.
He's like our American correspondent. If we want anything to talk about in America, we just go to Don Keith, don't we?
What's happening?
Yeah, we go to Don Keith.
Yeah.
So on the policies, on the meatier matters of the event, then, Edward, of course, it was about culture and immigration. I noted the other speakers touched on a number of those issues in their speeches, and they were really good as well.
Can I just say, in your intro, you did a brilliant intro, and you mentioned Kathy's speech, Kathy Jekyll. I thought so passionate and to the point. Brilliant. No messing about as well. The big elephant in the room for me is Islam, and we need to talk about this. And Kathy just went for the jugular. So many politicians, so many people will shy away from it, but she was there. She talked to the whole 950 people and said this is one of the big issues of the day that we need to talk about. So really impressive, sir. Ricky,
go on, sorry. I said I thought, I mean, they're all great, by the way, but I thought Kathy's speech was outstanding. I mean, it really was. I mean, it kind of cleared up a lot of the things we discussed and, we want to see happening in the country. She has a way of bullet pointing things, and she was very passionate. And I put a thing on.
She's quite fierce, actually. I like it. There's no messing with her. She is a strong woman, and she says it as it is. And do you know what? I believe her when she says it. When she says it, you believe her.
Yeah, I thought she did so well. And also, after you, Richie, one of the great orators of the building, Ricky Doolan got up there, and he just brought the house down with one of the most incredible, passionate speeches there. It was on a par with your one in Wales jumping off the stage.
Oh, I don't know all that. You can't compare us to the Welsh boy. When it comes to public speaking, we're the greatest orators of all time, man. Ask Neil Kinnock or ask Arthur Scargill. Wasn't Welsh, was he? Howard, you're back. Good to see you, mate. So what did you think of the conference? Ed was giving us his opinion. How did it go?
Yeah, I mean, it was way better than I expected. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, and the most important thing for me was that we showed the world a number of things. One is we've got policies. That's one thing, and secondly, we've got it's more than just the Ben Habib show. The speakers you had right across the spectrum, the college members, everyone. You two was sadly missed. I spoke to a lot of the Welsh people were there. They came up to me, did a lot of selfies with them, and they said, "Oh, where's Richie?" Yeah, seriously, they did. It was lovely, and all good things were said about you. I obviously tried to get to the bottom of that, but, but seriously, I mean, I agree. I think I would have thought I know what Ed would have said. I mean, it was a phenomenal presentation, and people like Floss, and Richard Thompson and Sarah White and all the gang, like they were working their butts off for this and preparing for this, and I could just sit back because I wasn't asked to speak this time and just do, as I said, I did a fair number of interviews with various lots of independent YouTubers, which is really good, and obviously we were hoping to see Tommy there, but Tommy couldn't make it. He had a few personal problems, but generally people like Liam Tufts and those sorts of people are very close to him, and Richard Inman, and they were there big time. And yeah, my feelings are very simple. We've arrived, and people now, we're not playing at it. And the big thing for me, also very big, is we had a protest outside against us. We really made it.
There they are. Here they are. Look.
There they are.
All 50 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
they just look like the typical protesters, don't they? I mean, if you could,
actually, I'm going to play a clip. I'll tell you what they look like because we got them on video. Just watch this clip now. You see exactly what they look like.
Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here.
I don't know if that ginger one was a man or a woman. I couldn't work it out for the life of me. I asked you tonight.
I couldn't tell either.
I mean, the unwashed were there, the pearl clutching unwashed. They were all there, weren't they? Well, I say all of them, all 50 of them.
Where did they get all those banners from? And who organises all that? Who's pays it? And more importantly, who pays for it all?
It's clearly organised, isn't it? And they're paid.
I cornered one of them, and I didn't corner them, but I just went up to them and said, "Actually, why are you here?" I said, "Well, because it's a Tommy Robinson event." I said, "You're very misinformed because it's nothing to do with Tommy Robinson. He may be coming along, but it's nothing to do with him. It's to do with Advance UK." And I said, just out of curiosity, you keep shouting this word fascist towards us. Can you describe what a fascist is? And honestly, they were all tongue-tied. They didn't know what a fascist is at all. And it was quite funny. And I said, "I wish you well. It's great, but let's have a debate instead of insults. Why don't we all have a good old-fashioned debate?" And I'd love to hear your opinions, but not in the way you do it. So, it's as usual. It's rent a mob, isn't it? They're there to come along and just cause that sort of thing. So, Nazi
as well, Howard. National Socialist. The clue is in the socialist. We're all very much more of a free market party and the complete opposite of any sort of socialist entities. So how on earth those sort of rent-a-mob outside have got more in common with the actual Nazi movement than Advance UK, which I find perverse, really.
Well, we're proud of our country. They're not. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were doing the live yesterday, we actually had David Atherton on, and he was basically talking to us, and we said, "Oh, we can see that you've got the counter protesters. What's going on?"
Mm-hmm.
And we asked him just to go and sort of count how many there were, and this is what happened. What's happening?
So I might not be able to hear you properly, but to give you an idea what's going on here, we've got the great unwashed of Stand Up to Racism here. Some idiot's got a Palestinian flag. They've just been anti-Semitic.
Oh yeah, you talking shit again?
Yeah, we're talking shit again here.
What are you talking about?
Well, here we go. We got a flag.
Whoa.
Yeah.
To fucking give you a good idea.
Did somebody just push him?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, when they put pro-Palestinian protesters.
Oh my God!
We'll come back to Dave in a few seconds.
Right, I'm doing a live broadcast. He interrupted me. And I'm on the bathroom.
If you don't like it, go out that side of the road because you're antagonising people, son.
It's my democratic right to be here.
But
I'm actually a journalist here.
Yeah, and you're telling him you're going to fill him in. Is that good, is it?
Well, he insulted me, mate.
No, he didn't.
He insulted me, mate.
You turn around and gone to him, I'm going to fill you in. So go out
We
to the road. and then you won't have to put up with it then, sir.
Well, why don't you arrest him?
What, but you telling him you're going to put him in?
Well, because he deserves it, mate, I tell you.
Yeah, we got it all on camera here, Dave. We've seen
We've got it on camera. We've seen that he's just assaulted you.
Well, it's never a
so
dull
we can-
moment, is it?
Yeah. There's two-tier policing, mate, right in your very eyes, just as you've seen there, folks. We've seen
Well,
what's going on
crack the
there.
phone out of your hand as well.
Yeah, seen that. Absolutely seen that. There we go.
So there you go. That's what happened when we asked him to go over, and now I feel a bit bad. But
Yeah.
literally, there's no shame there, is there? They will just shove you around and they'll just start on you. And all he was trying to do was figure out what was going on.
When
And
you
the sad-
request anyone to do anything, there's always a danger rogue, you know that, don't you?
Yeah.
So that's the
And
thing.
the sad thing is, yet again, we've seen it. The police, they said, you're antagonising them. Hang on a second. Excuse me, can we see both sides? Look at the Monty Toms and the Will Coleshill thing. What happened to them? And they were both there yesterday. And there's not many people I look up to. I look up Leo Kersey, who brilliant, comedic stuff he did. Yes, it was fantastic. And also,
Wasn't that a nice touch, Howard, as well, to have a bit of comedy as well, just to start it off and to break it up with a load of jokes there. And Leo was absolutely bang on the money with some of those jokes there about the boat people coming over and hilarious.
he was offensive. We love it.
The one that he said about if it was women coming over in these boats from France, they'd never be
Somalian
living
women,
in
isn't it?
France.
Somalian women. Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
He said
I don't
they'd
really like
never
Leo
be
because
living in France.
Leo made me put cinnamon in my mouth.
Oh, yeah. I
Live
remember
on
that.
TV News. And oh my gosh, I couldn't breathe for days after. So I've never forgiven him for that. Cinnamon. He made me put cinnamon in my mouth. Live on TV as well. Talking about free speech and offending people, there's a clip going about today. I'm just going to play this. We're going to talk more about the conference in a second. We've got loads to discuss tonight. We are waiting for who to come on?
Dave Atherton.
Dave Atherton, yeah. So just watch this clip a second. Oh, sorry about that. We always have a funny on the show. I saw that clip today, Ricky Gervais, and it just tickled me. It's about the freedom of speech, really, isn't it? And I think what these protesters have shown, they don't like the freedom of speech unless it comes from them. They want their voices heard and nobody else's voices matter. That is not free speech. I'm afraid to say it swings both ways. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about free speech.
Well, it's what's very sad is actually it's quite a few of the tweets I put out today and reading the comments. 9 out of 10 of them are really good and positive. But as usual, some of the people who I've known for years, ex-reformers, they're reformers, and people I work with, suddenly they resort to insults. They don't. It's, like I said, look at this: 900 people here, all gathered together, celebrating the potential hope for our future, our country's future. And he said, "Yeah, you mean a bunch of hopeless people?" And these are people that actually put leaflets in for me in London for when I was standing at London Mayor. They're now just resorting to, if he came back to me and said, "I don't really see hope really with the, something like Advance UK," because I would debate with them. We'd have a good chat and see how it goes. Yeah. But no, it's straight to the insult.
They
can't do it any other way.
They are some of the worst ones. Those reform ultras. They're just hounding you on X and Facebook and things like that. It's just incredible, really.
I'm going to add Dave Atherton. He's just joined, so we're going to talk about what
we've got a full house tonight, bro. We've got a full house. First Sunday night live back for a while, and we got a full house.
I love it. I feel like I've won on the bingo.
Mr. Atherton, how was your afternoon snooze?
Oh, a lot longer than I anticipated.
Yeah, we know, because you're late.
Well, only 25 minutes. But,
Rogue just introduced the clip of you being assaulted, which is what it was, by a poor Palestinian gentleman knocking your phone in your hand as well. And then you were made out to be the agitator by the police, Dave. Do you want to tell us what happened?
Well, yeah, it's basically two-tier policing, at its jolly best, There was maybe I say 50, maybe not less than that actually, maybe not less than 50. Maybe 30, 40 of the great unwashed there, and there was a guy at the back there with a Palestinian flag. And I don't know, I'm a bit, kind of a bit of a wind-up merchant, The fox has seen the rabbit, As soon as I see a Palestinian flag, I've got to go over there and have a quiet word. And I actually went to the event, to the Advance event as a journalist, reporting on what I was seeing. And and you can't sort of go to an event like that and not go over there and have a quiet word and test the temperature. And anyway, so cut a long story short, some guy had I was sort of filming the crowd, and this guy put his banner down as I was trying to film the people there. And and they started getting agitated about it all, and someone called me a Nazi. I said, look, for somebody of Jewish heritage, I find that quite offensive being called a Nazi. And I said, please have a quick look in the mirror, sort of thing, So I got a funny feeling that registered with quite a few of them. Previously, I had spoken to this guy with the Palestinian flag, and I managed to annoy him on the basis that I said to him, look, what are we playing here? Who was here first? I said, the Jewish religion, is 5,000 years old. It's the oldest Abrahamic religion going. And then he tried to tell me that Jesus was born in Palestine. And I said, no, Jesus was born, Jesus, the King of the Jews, was actually born in Judea, a part of them, what is considered to be Israel. It nothing to do with Palestine. Palestine is a political concept from 1964. And I said, just to rub his nose in it, I added that, in the Quran, Israeli, or the Israelites is mentioned 43 times, whilst Palestine is mentioned 0 times. So, I suggested to him that he went back to the drawing board, and as you saw, you asked me to come on the show for a quick briefing while I was down there, and I sort of wandered over to the crowd and doing my piece here, and that guy there approached me and he started try to take my phone out of my hands. The red mist descended, and so the melee kicked off, and of course the police didn't arrest him or any other left-wing thugs there. It was me who apparently was at fault for inciting them and by quoting facts. The police were really quite vicious with me, actually.
Yeah, we watched how they were with you, and they did call you an agitator, and by your own admission, you're kind of saying that you were kind of in debate with them.
Didn't he say he was going to fill him in?
What? Butter doesn't melt in my mouth,
David, just while we got you on, Rogue, you wanted to ask a question.
I just want to know, obviously, you're not a member of Advance, but you were asked to go there to report for what you saw journalistically. Yeah. I've heard Edwards, I've heard Howard's, sort of version of how they felt it was. What did you make of it?
I thought Ben Habib made an excellent speech, and the way he sort of outlined advanced policy. He didn't take any prisoners on being pro-British and anti-legal and legal immigration. So you could accuse him of preaching the converted, so to speak. But also the other people that were speaking there as well, I thought were also very, very good. I probably counted about 10 standing ovations. Some I thought were quite rightly deserved. I think on reflection, one of the things I do recollect was it was a pro-advance meeting. It wasn't an anti-reform meeting. No, it was constructive in that respect. But I came away with a positive impression.
What about David? Dave, as a neutral, what were your thoughts on some of the announcements, the specifics of them?
I thought, for example, if you become an MP, you can only swear on the Bible. or or something or otherwise secular.
Shabana Mahmood swore on the Quran, didn't she? Home Secretary.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a tough one. That one. It's a tough one. That one.
You think there's enough detail there? I know the second part there was a lot on immigration. The first ones were just thoughts and ideas that are going to be elaborated on and further announcements.
Yeah, so Howard, I mean, I sorry, just to interrupt, I just wanted to say, because we were looking at the reverse mass immigration. So I'm not sure, because you're obviously part of the college, which one that you have actually, which subjects you've been sort of working on, and policy you've been working on. But we were looking at abolish all benefits for foreigners, universal credit, NHS and housing, education, encourage the repatriation of all those legal in the UK, including dual nationals with a time-limited incentive, and classify anyone in the UK with an expired or cancelled visa as being illegal in the country. Have you had any input in that, Howard?
Well, I wasn't on this particular group, but I was involved in actually seeing the detail a week earlier, and I was allowed to have some input in it. I put a couple of things in, but the most important thing for me that I cheered for yesterday is that to stop the incentive for coming to the UK, and that means stop giving the money. Those are the sorts of things that mattered, and bringing back and linking it very much with the fact we have our British culture, our Christianity linked to it. I mean, I'm an agnostic, but I value Christian values. And if you don't demonstrate that, you're out. There's a couple of things there. You've got to be totally British things that I think we need to think about. And bear in mind, yesterday was a draft contract, a draft policy that we're presenting to everyone yesterday and to the public. This is going to be refined, and all of the policies going to be refined. And obviously, we've got to cost all these things, and that's going to be related to. I'm on the transport one for obvious reasons of my background, but also cost of living because that's close to that one, and also the crime one because I was involved with very much. And Dave Atherton used to interview me quite a lot on the ULEZ protests and things like that. What's happening with crime, and I used to talk to the police. And I have to say, the police I spoke to, yes, you're right, Edward. I think there's 9 vans full of police there. But I spoke to them. Most of them were actually pretty decent guys. They were fine. They didn't really want to be there, but they were told to be there because we're seen as still far right fascist thugs. And I didn't see one of those in the hall.
Yeah, exactly that.
Exactly that, yeah.
So then we've gone on to the reduce the migrant workforce. So welfare payments to British citizens out of work to cease after 12 months. What does that look like?
Edward, I mean, what do you think of some of the policies? Rose just mentioned some of the, I know it's draft at the moment because the legislative framework has to be supported and, has to be budgeted for and everything else. What do you make of what Rose just read there on that?
Reducing the migrant workforce.
As Howard said, we have massive pull factors in this country at the moment that if you're living in abject poverty in some parts of some parts of the world, why wouldn't you just chance your arm and get to Britain? And when you've got probably friends in your village or town or city that are sending pictures back, showing you that they've been given a free room in a hotel somewhere, given a mobile phone, they're given all the food, and they get to see a doctor. Why wouldn't you chance your arm and come to this country? So these are massive pull factors that are drawing in all these people. And until you stop these massive pull factors, people are never going to stop trying to get here for them. So they have to be stopped. And any sensible governments all over Europe now are adopting these sort of measures. So there's nothing too radical in there yesterday. These are policies that are being adopted now all over Europe for self-preservation of nations.
By the way, guys, did you read the story the other day that there's been a massive rise in HIV infection, HIV and AIDS in this country, which coincides with mass migration. Yeah. Apparently, 53% of the new cases of HIV infection, their partner was born in a foreign land. 53%. Yeah. There's been a 30% increase amongst the heterosexual population in this country. Amongst the male homosexual community, it's flatlined. But there's been a massive spike amongst the heterosexual population, mainly because of one presumes sub-Saharan immigration. It's not only HIV as well. A lot of these people also have other sexually transmitted diseases as well. You know, and we're just scoring a massive own goal. You know, where do I get my dedicated GP? You know.
But you can't blame these guys. If you've got AIDS somewhere in Africa and there's no actual health service and you're going to die within a year if you don't get any treatment, you're going to make it to Europe.
Oh, yeah.
But this is where we need to get absolutely tough and have a backbone in this country. And we can't be the National Health Service for the rest of the world, the International Health Service. It's absolutely incredible that no. expected to pay for this.
One of the things I liked about Ben Habib's speech was, you know, he's looking to make massive savings in the welfare budget, which I entirely and utterly agree with. You know, to my mind, you know, the welfare state should be a safety net, not a hammock. And there's far too many people in this country who see the welfare state as, you know, as a means of living, you know, as a lifestyle choice, right? You know, rather.
And that was another announcement yesterday. Out of work benefits, they're only going to be there for 12 months. And people are going to have to start looking for work. How radical, how revolutionary is that? You know, we're going to expect people to go out and earn a living rather than whole generations of families living off welfare.
Absolutely. The other thing that we were talking about was mandate flying of the union flag by public sector bodies. I think that's a brilliant one. You know, we all should be proud of who we are. And I think it's really important because obviously we've been taking them down because we've been sort of forced to do that.
We are. Go on, you keep talking.
I'll keep on talking. Yeah. So the other thing was to formalise recognition and protection of national figures, which again, there we go. Here's his flag. The Welsh flag. Now, there is one issue.
Hang on a second. Can I just talk about the rugby, please, Richard?
We shan't talk about that, Howard.
Anyone know the score? Anyone know the score?
Unless we're talking about the rugby in the 70s and the 80s, I don't want to know. Right? Because that was our golden era with Barry John and all those, Gareth Edwards and everybody else. But
it's just funny though, because it says here under the Restore the Civic Pride to return to the speaking of only English.
Yeah, I was offended by that. Deeply offended. I mean,
no Welsh allowed here.
You know, I stepped over personal reasons. That was the reason. That was the. It wasn't, folks. It wasn't a joke.
What about Scottish Gaelic? Would that be a thing?
I mean, I think ultimately,
Cornish.
What Ben was trying to get at is that I've been out in communities around Wales, right? And you go in a shopping centre and there's people speaking languages I've never heard. And it's increasing and becoming the majority. People are not speaking the mother tongue of Great Britain anymore. It's just one of those things. And I think cultures have changed because of, and I believe this, and I've always said it, the Islamification of our country. It's not just the Islamists that are here, but of course we've had open border policy since the 90s under that Antichrist Tony Blair. And unfortunately, because of his policies, we are still suffering today. I sound like a broken record, but it's true. And I think
there's also the millions of pounds that we pay, our public bodies are paying out for translation service into all these different languages as well. So, you know, I'd like it to go further and to none of these public bodies to be spending millions of pounds on translation service.
On the tax issue, Ben mentioned about the family, didn't he? He talked about, you know, encouraging families to have more children. That was back to his Bonk for Britain policy that he announced at Tommy Robinson rally. So when he said it, I thought, that's great, that's fantastic. So he believes in family and the marriage tax as well and everything else, which we used to have. I mean, some wonderful policies coming out. We know they're draft. We know these things aren't easily achieved and they're not done overnight when you get into power. But I'm keen to know, with all of you as guests here tonight on the Richie Roadshow, what your thoughts are on the culture side and the immigration. Because there were two parts to Ben's speech, wasn't there? There was the culture, then there was the issues on immigration. And tying into that immigration issue, there were some strong things said, like ban the burqa. I mean, because we know that's connected to immigration, of course. The ban, the call for Islamic prayer on our streets. Because, you know, I mean, in fact, we've got a clip of something here I want to show you guys. I mean, this doesn't belong here. Just watch this for a second. I mean, it's that kind of thing, really, that I'm just going to tell you straight, guys. That does not belong in our streets. Simple as that. I mean, you can do it in your own building, crack on, right? But why are we allowing this to happen? I think Ben has labelled that point, isn't he? But one of the questions you got asked was about halal meat, wasn't it?
Yeah, somebody was saying, is Ben going to ban halal? And, you know, I think it's a really pertinent question because it kind of coincides with everything else, you know. So do we know? Was that mentioned?
No.
No.
So my only point I'd just like to make, Rogue, is Ben going to do it? It's not. It's Advance UK. Ben is leading this path. That's the difference between Reform and us, is that we are a true party whereby we are run by the grassroots, run by the college, and that we all know the fact is that Ben could be thrown out if he doesn't perform. That doesn't happen with any other party. That's one reason why I joined Advance UK, for that reason, because the grassroots will be listened to. But you're going back to the halal thing. I mean, we've got, and the kosher, all these sorts of things. We should focus on actually treating our animals and everything humanely. I know we have to put them down, but they should be put down humanely to supply food for us, and that's the sort of thing. But what I saw in the culture thing yesterday, which was very impressive, you know, that we're not going to allow statues to be defaced or knocked down, all those sort of things. Recognise our language and things at school, etc. That schools will have to teach about our true, you know, what's happened in our past in terms of our history. All of our stars and all of our heroes, even if they may have had a bit of a checkered background. We've all got checkered backgrounds. Just look at Nelson Mandela, but he's worshipped.
Yeah. So you're saying about Christian assemblies with the national anthem. I mean, that has been, you know, a bone of contention, because what's been happening recently is that Easter's not allowed to be celebrated. Christmas isn't allowed to be celebrated. So we're actually having to prohibit who we are to not offend anybody else. And that is just not okay in our own country. And I say that, and I mean that. You know, we should be entitled to celebrate what we have been raised on, which is our Christian constitution.
We have such a fabulous history. Through from the Industrial Revolution, the British Empire, the incredible achievements that it did. What was in Africa before the British Empire? What was in India was lots of little principalities that were constantly warring with each other. We gave them a whole civil service, a whole education system, the railways. What did the Romans ever do for us? I mean, there's so many incredible achievements that our country has done throughout history. And these children being taught in schools to hate our history and our culture. That's why you had those demonstrators yesterday, and young minds that have been polluted with this type of stuff.
Let me quickly add, Edward. One of the things. One of the few, this is my own idea for a change, you know, my own thought for a change, not somebody else's. But if you look at any imperial and colonial power, whether it's Genghis Khan, the Ottomans, the Aztec and the Inca societies in Central and South America, every single superpower, when it can, has waged mass industrial war. We come a little bit nearer to recent history. You look at Napoleon, you look at the Germans, 1914, 1939. Whenever a superpower has emerged, it has waged mass industrial war. During the 19th century, post 1815, after we defeated Napoleon, we were probably the world's only superpower, and for 100 years until the outbreak of the First World War, we were in fact, Prague University, because we ruled a quarter of the world's population, describe us as being a hyperpower, not a superpower, but a hyperpower, probably the only hyperpower that will ever exist in the history of man. You know. But we didn't wage mass industrial war. We could have absolutely spanked anybody we liked. You look at the way, for example, when it comes to the slave trade, 1833 when we finally ended slavery, and also post 1807 when we banned the shipment of slaves. We sent the West Africa Squadron to West Africa, to the West African coast to discourage and capture boats that were taking slaves to America. Look, this is the whole point. We did not wage. We could have waged mass industrial war for 100 years, but we chose instead to have an empire that was based on trade and our industrial goods. And
then they brought in Lammy.
Yeah.
Morning,
I'm just going to
Lammy.
say on that, I mean, the Chinese have got a great technique, actually. I found this clip, which I'm going to show you now. Just check this out. That's not the clip. Where is it? I've lost my eyes. I can't see a thing. I think it's this one. Here we go. No, I don't like the Chinese normally, but I think it's a great job they got going on there. And they're turning mosques into toilets, David. What's your thoughts on that, Howard?
Well, at least they're trying to stop that Islamic invasion. We know what's going on, and I'm afraid the Western world is being invaded. I mean, we're seeing so many clips, not just on social media, but I've even seen it on some mainstream media, where we got young, fit young men shouting at the camera saying, "We're over here to take over." They're saying those words. And, you know, for God's sake, and watching David yesterday, that bit when he was with the great unwashed and that sort of thing, these people are not informed. I mentioned it earlier when I asked them what is a fascist and all those things. They've been, well, brainwashed is a wrong word, but they are, we said, rent a crowd. But these people just do not know any side of any argument. They're there just to cause trouble.
Exactly that.
But basically, under Islamic doctrine. Yeah, so very briefly, under Islamic doctrine, every Muslim is obliged under the principles of the Ummah, the International Brotherhood of Islam, to wage jihad and form a Muslim caliphate, a Muslim under Sharia law. That's their duty.
Yeah. And look, in China at the moment, there's over 1 million Uyghur Muslims they call them re-education camps, where they've been brainwashed into the Chinese Communist Party way of things. So where are the demonstrations over that? What about Tibet? It was annexed in the 1950s by China, and the Han Chinese are ethnically cleansing the native Tibetans. Where are all the protests on the streets of London over that? Like you say, Howard, these people have got no clue of geography or history. It's so sad.
Well, what did Starmer do when he went over there? Did he mention those? He didn't mention any of that, did he? No. We're smash the engines. That's what he came out of that.
He was kissing ass, wasn't he? He was kissing ass.
Oh my gosh, he's so embarrassing, isn't he? When he was like there, and then that guy had to push him to say, actually, no, you need to be over there when you're walking on the red carpet. It's like, oh my god,
he's an embarrassment. He's an embarrassment of you. I mean, we're going to move the story on, guys. We talk about the stuff at Advance UK because it's about time as well. We know it's precious for you as well. The big news, obviously, this week has been the resignation of Peter Mandelson, and of course today McSweeney has gone as well. Scapegoat, obviously, and the odds are on this man here. Will he be going soon? Will he go before May? Is his time up? Is it a question of when, not if? We'll come to you first, Edward.
Well, I mean, when I look at Mandelson, I just can't get that image of him in his underpants out of my head there. It's the stuff of total nightmares, isn't it? I mean,
thank you, Ed. Thank you.
Just terrifying.
Thank you for reminding me.
Sorry, everybody. But I mean, what was going on there? Mandelson appointing him as ambassador to the United States. Keir Starmer would have had access to all his history. MI5 would have added to that and given all the rest of the information. So he must have known everything that was going on. And to give a man like that the job of ambassador to the United States, and just what kind of decision making is our prime minister?
Absolutely beggars belief.
Just beggars belief. Really does.
Howard, we'll come to you next, Howard, and then David, if you can have a word on that. On Keir Starmer's future, it's looking very bleak at the moment, Howard, isn't it, with these resignations? I mean, the fact that he got up, and before you come on and share your thoughts on that, let me just show you a clip of Prime Minister Keir Starmer talking about Peter Mandelson. And this is obviously when he appointed him as the ambassador to the UK, to the USA, sorry. Let me just find this video here. Just bear with me, folks. Have I got it? Or is it gone? I think it's gone. I've lost it. This was Pat McFadden doing the rounds today, because you know it's like on a Sunday, they chuck an MP out to do the media rounds, and this is what he had to say to defend the defenceless about his Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
But to your question about the Prime Minister, I believe he should stay. I think he's got a 5-year mandate, which was just voted for 18 months or so ago in a general election. His task is by no means complete, barely begun. And I also think it is not good for the country to change its Prime Minister every 18 months or 2 years. It's leading to chaos and uncertainty economically, politically, and reputationally around the world. So I know this has been a difficult week, but I think we should stick with the Prime Minister, support him. He admits he's made a bad mistake here. He has apologised for it, and I'm sure he will learn from that going forward.
Now, that clip there, interestingly enough, before I played that, this was the clip I was going to show. This is what the Prime Minister had to say about Peter Mandelson when he appointed him as the ambassador to the USA.
Already I can feel there's a real buzz around Washington right now. You can sense that there's a new leader in town, that he's a true one-off, a pioneer in business and in politics. Many people love him. Others love to hate him. But to us, he's just Peter. And Peter is the right person to help us work with President Trump and to...
Ugh. He was just so smug and smarmy. Even when he did that, it was just, oh, it's horrible.
I know. But Howard, your thoughts on that? Because obviously that all this stuff has happened. We've seen Pat McFadden doing the rounds today. And then we get news of the resignation of McSweeney. I mean, he's just a scapegoat, mate, isn't he?
Well, you're absolutely right. It's a political manoeuvring. Even David Lammy's come out today and said, I told my boss, Keir Starmer, that Mandelson wasn't the right person. All that, they're all going to manoeuvre in such a way now to, protect their asses. And Morgan McSweeney going today, I mean, don't be fooled by that. He's being used. He's been given a sweetener. I bet you he's going to get a plum job and probably a seat in the House of Lords. This is the way this works with this sort of thing. And of course, it takes the attention away from the person who's really the guilty one, our Prime Minister. And that's the issue for me. That man is, I just cannot believe how that man can get up every morning knowing the polls, he's rock bottom, the worst, the most unpopular Prime Minister in the history of the planet. And yet this man, he still thinks his vision is right for us, but it's not. His strings are being pulled by the globalists. All those sorts of people are totally controlling our lives through him. And all I can say at this moment in time, the sooner, well, we're not ready for government yet, Advance UK, David, but I reckon in 18, I was asked so many times yesterday, when we'll be ready. I said 18 months, we'll be spot on. You watch this space. I mean, and a lot of people for election. I'm worried having a general election, I'm sorry to say now, because I don't want to see Farage as Prime Minister.
So we were just talking about, was it Lammy?
Yeah, David Lammy.
David Lammy wasn't actually, he was celebrating him, wasn't he?
Well, he praised Mandelson. Watch this clip, folks. Make your own mind up.
Peter Mandelson is a man of considerable expertise. He's the right man for this moment to be our ambassador. He's been a business secretary, a Northern Ireland secretary. Of course, he's worked in the European Commission, and he brings all of that to bear working as our ambassador in the United States. And of course, he's looking forward to presenting his credentials to Donald Trump.
Yeah, but he came out today and he's completely gone the other. He's 180, a complete 180. I told Prime Minister he's not the right person. What a lying little shit. They're all lying little shits.
They are. Indeed, they are. So I'm just going to quickly read you something. So Lord Glazeman, basically, during a Sunday morning interview, Labour peer Lord Glazeman attacked New Labour as a sinful takeover of the party, embodied by Peter Mandelson's Epstein ties, revealed in new files showing emails and photos post-conviction. Glazeman, a Blue Labour founder, had warned Number 10 against Mandelson's short-lived US ambassador role in early 2025, tying it into the US perceptions of Labour and elite abuse conspiracies. He urged the party to repent and return to working class roots like Ernest Bevan's era, as McSweeney resigned over the appointment and police probe Mandelson promises. Now, what happened to him?
Well, I think he advised the Prime Minister back in September last year about the connection with Jeffrey Epstein and the island in particular, and he was told to shut up and keep it discreet by some of the civil servants within the government at the time. So the fact that the Prime Minister is trying to say that he didn't know. What's that, Howard? You show me that.
I'll just say, it basically says, it's a Telegraph. Lammy, I warned Starmer about Mandelson. You showed that incredible thing.
Bollocks.
You cannot
Yeah.
believe it. It's in today's Telegraph.
I mean, Dave, on Lord, what's Lord Neeson, isn't it? He's in the House of Lords, and what do you make of that statement? Because he warned them back in September last year, and the Prime Minister wanted to shut him down and keep him quiet. I mean, it goes to show that there's a lot of lies. We know they lie anyway. A lot of cover-ups going on, Dave, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, suddenly, well, we was appointed. He was the best thing since sliced bread. And now it's all gone wrong. He's the worst thing since sliced bread, absolute hypocrisy of all the politicians here, and they're all busy deleting their photographs and of them standing with Peter Mandelson. I look upon Mandelson as an evil man. He's just not incompetent or useless. He's an evil man. The self-styled Prince of Darkness. The amount of careers he's probably ruined, the amount of people he's compromised, is an absolute disgrace. As far as I'm concerned, the last few weeks, the last week or so, also if you sort of couple that with Rupert Lowe's Pakistani Muslim rape gang inquiry, it's death by 1,000 cuts at the moment, and I'm enjoying every single metaphorical scar that appears on the arms of the Labour Party. No one's got the wherewithal about them. Yes, I said that about Lord Peter Mandelson, but yes, I was wrong. I do apologise. No, it's all like it's the double speak and the hypocrisy that really winds me up about this. I suppose with a 3-line whip and party unity, you have to say nice things about an appointment of somebody. But some of these people really should look at their consciences, and there must be sort of psychopaths from the point of view that they knew his appointment was wrong, but they had to say the right things at the time to make sure that the whip and the chief whip wasn't on their case. No,
Wait till Chagos deal unravels as well. But in a way, I agree. It's kind of agree with Pat McFadden that Starmer should stay on. I mean, who the hell is going to replace him? I mean, are we going to get Angela Rayner, Dave Lammy, Shabana? I mean, who's going to replace him if he does go?
Ed Miliband.
Yeah.
Ed, have you been reading my essay? Shabana Mahmood, he will be the next Prime Minister of Britain.
Yeah, I think.
Well, what about Angela Rayner here? Angela Rayner, look, make Gaza great again. Has she got any chance?
the lady who left school with more babies than qualifications.
Terrifying, isn't it? Terrifying.
It is. And obviously, we've had recently we've had Bill Gates and his involvement, and obviously his wife or ex-wife, Melinda. Melinda.
Did she get STDs off him?
She did. So he was actually begging for medication to slip to his wife because he actually caught an STD from
a Russian, isn't it?
Yeah,
a Russian prostitute.
It's just horrendous. Like some of the stuff that has been unearthed, it is vile.
Especially in the Epstein files, which we're going to be covering not too in the distant near future. Roger, we're going to be doing a whole show on this actually, because our research team, thanks to Jake, Nikki, they're watching tonight for all the work they've done. Is that right?
Yeah.
We're going to be covering it, yeah?
Absolutely.
So going back to
there's a lot to go through.
Yeah.
And it's it's actually quite grueling and quite heartbreaking having to go through it. There's like so many pages. Was it 3 million pages?
I think so, yeah, a lot of pages.
Literally having to go through them all, and you're just kind of seeing what they've done. I mean, eating body parts and baby body parts. Like, what the actual hell is wrong with these people? And talking about what's wrong with people, Edward, I've heard something about you. I've heard that you're a new graffiti artist and that you like going around causing trouble in London. What's going on here?
Well, they're not the words that I would use, but I kind of agree with the sentiment of it. But just spotted that on Northumberland Road today, and I thought, that's the passion up and down the country that is going to spill over unless this is dealt with.
Yeah.
Was it right? The graffiti said, "Stop the effing boats." I think Ben Habib was interviewed actually at the end of the event, and he was asked about how he'd stop the boats, and this is what he had to say.
Policy. On that, what is your policy to stop the boats?
Our policy to stop the boats is very straightforward. Remove all benefits from people who successfully get into this country illegally. Instead of looking after them in 4-star hotels, free food, free medical care and so on, detain them, arrest them, detain them, put them in secure facilities and then deport them. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is direct the Royal Navy to intercept the boats, intercept the dinghies and turn them back to France. That is what the Navy is for, the protection of this country. And at the moment, we have no borders. And if a country doesn't have any borders, it isn't a country. So the Royal Navy has to start doing its job.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I can't fault that one bit. I mean, part of it is obviously, I know in Ben's speech talking about leaving the ECHR, which we know is a bone of contention. And I think that there are some similarities with some of the reform policies, but I was challenged on X after the conference because I was reposting some of your stuff, Rogue, about the policies, and people are saying, well, he's nicked most of the reforms. But I asked this person, give me some of reforms policies then. To be quite honest with you, I was struggling to find those policies. Now, Dave, you may argue that, until the manifesto comes out, then we're not going to give out all our policies. But even these as draft policies, and there was loads of them. I mean, I got some of them come up on the screen, on culture, on illegal immigration. They didn't have the financial framework to how these things are going to cost and how they're going to happen, but they were just draft policies. And in and of themselves, they spoke volumes. And as I said to, I think, Edward earlier, it really shifted the dialogue away from reform, who've come out with policies. They say, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And they change their policies, to suit a certain narrative at a particular time. But I find that I believe in Ben, that he will stick the course with these policies and with the support of the members as well. I think there are policies that are deliverable and they will bring about real change in the country, United Kingdom, Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
No, I do agree with you. For example, if I was Prime Minister, even the ones that what I would do would be is you come over here, no 4-star hotels. Here's a tent. Here's a couple of guy ropes and a hammer. Wooden mallets to knock the pegs in, and that's where you stay. I'm sorry, and no benefits. Maybe we can give you one meal a day, but yeah, as I say, the pull factor is the problem. I don't know whether you know, but Michael Gove, when he was the Spectator has become completely unreadable now. He's editor, but anyway, let's move on. But when Gove was Minister for Levelling Up and the Communities and what have we, he allocated £500 million and a potential war chest of another £250 million purely to house illegal migrants that cross the channel.
Yeah,
500 million. So when you read about the council as housing 40 new illegal migrants, that money comes from central government because they've seized upon it, and and they presumably make a profit on it as well. They spend X on illegal migrants and Y on the local people. No, I'm sorry, this is absolutely outrageous. No, these people should not be in our country. Also, by the way, I don't. Please fact check me on this one, but I'm pretty sure that when a migrant is moved from a hotel to a house of mass occupancy, HMO, they don't pay any utility bills or council tax.
Yeah. You're dead right, David. But one of the things that came really well in yesterday's thing is about the support for veterans, and that's the thing that also I was really pleased with that, because it's quite poignant. When I left the Walkers, I left a bit early from the drinks last night. Had to get back, but just around the corner as I walked to get into my car, there's a guy laying in the gutter, basically. And would you believe it? I could just see he had it looked like a military tie wrapped around one of his top of his dog, and it looked like I'm not sure. But then I thought, what we're going to do for veterans, and of course Northern Ireland will become, and as it should be, back to us in the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland. The other thing also that came out very well yesterday, and Ben described it beautifully, is that obviously that Ireland will benefit from that because they won't want all of these mass, illegal immigrants. And
Howard, I really thought that was perceptive and well thought out. That caught my eye as well. That
Also up here in Derby, we had a case. There was a migrant hotel in inner city Derby, and a homeless person was found frozen to death, died on the porch of a homeless hotel. So foreigners that are coming over here being put in hotels, our own homeless are dying on the porchways of hotels where we've got these people. You couldn't have picked a more absurd policy.
Yeah. So we've got here, advanced policies are just fantasy, in my honest opinion, and will never be approved by any parliament. Who would like to answer that?
Well, I'm telling you, it will be approved by the parliament because we'll have a majority. But the other thing is that one thing we mustn't forget, there is going to be left-wing legals and the blob. Those are the ones we've got to fight like mad. They're the people that are prepared. But provided we get our manifesto, and as Ben regularly says, he's going to slam it down at the dispatch box, and we have the mandate from the people because we have thought through these policies. It's not just like a manifesto that's created 3 weeks before an election. The Enid Blyton book of I was part of it, the contract with the people reform. I helped write the transport policy bit, and
Howard, I have to say, I've got to pay tribute to Advances College. I've had a quick peep at it, and I've got to say, I'm cheering it from the rafters. The only thing I would say is,
I think he's slowly being converted to Advance, Howard. After yesterday, and I think he's slowly coming over to our side.
Hang on a second. As a party, you have to appeal to a broad electorate. We'll say you're preaching to the converted, but but it's easy amongst people like ourselves to give it a thumbs up and raise the flag and nod in all the right places. But as a political party, you have to appeal to a wider electorate.
Come on, Dave, says Helen. Come on, join us. Come over.
They do, Dave. But
in
the last general election, 40% of the population that were eligible to vote didn't even bother voting. So there's a whole constituency there, I think, to go at.
Yeah, sure. I understand. But the point is that the people who don't vote are probably the least likely to read X or be involved in social media. It's not so much that they don't know, just that don't care. I wish in some ways people would become more engaged. But I think the problem advanced needs probably the immigration stance probably resonates with 60 to 70% of the population. And I think this is where I think Nigel Farage is missing a trick. He should on immigration be going back to basics. I'm sure his policies of pubs and everything else are very worthy, but he must go back to basics and confirm that if he does get into power, that his first priority will be immigration, getting out the ECHR and repealing Tony Blair's 1998 Human Rights Act.
So why doesn't he come out and say all this then? Why doesn't he say it?
Well, funny you should say that. That's on my agenda for tomorrow morning. So.
Another one of your programs, Dave.
You two are always debating on this show, you two.
I love it, though. I love it. But ultimately, we're going to have to go all the way back to when it was actually like this.
Yeah, watch this.
Have a look.
Meet friends in there. We can't go into the locals anymore. They're full up with noisy foreigners, and we don't like it. We haven't got a place left where we, the English people, can go and enjoy ourselves in this town.
After going through 2 world wars, we should at least have the dignity of being allowed to live with our own kind.
With no room, with no jobs, and our poor lads are fighting in Ireland while our own country's being invaded.
I mean, the situation we've got now is that you can't find jobs, accommodation in your own towns. I don't come from Bradford. I'm here today to support the Bradford people because they've been left out. They don't get a say in what's going on. They're pushed up here. People are, the coloured people. They're put into an overcrowded situation and it's just leaving chaos behind.
What is the problem? All right, I'm a Scotsman. I'm living in London. I've come all the way from London, but I am a Britisher. And I am here and I feel there is a great problem here in Bradford. I'm not a politician. I'm a working class man. I'm a member of the British public. I spent 11.5 years in the British forces. I spent it in the Airborne and the SAS, and I'm here now marching for these people because to me we have been sold out all the way along the line by Heath, Wilson and everybody else and I am not a politician, and I don't want to be interested in politics. Just a member of British politics, British public. That's all.
There's too many people in the country, yet they keep letting these immigrants in, knowing very well that the mass majority of the British people are against this immigration. We've got enough in Bradford, let's keep them out. We've got enough here. We've got enough over here.
That was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you look at the complaints then, actually, we're saying exactly the same thing, but it's like 1,000-fold of how many people have come in. So it's just...
And that was in Bradford as well.
Yeah, Bradford Stan.
Bradford Stan, yeah. I mean.
Guys, if I can go first here, I actually don't know the background to it. Right at the start, that was actually Southall. The couple at the start who were complaining about immigration were actually living in Southall in West London, which is now Indian and Pakistani dominated. It was also a program about the National Front because they were all National Front supporters, all turned up to National Front rallies. The National Front really was an evil, the real far right, Nazi adoring political party and organisation. And I remember reading with the British National Party, they managed in 2009 to get 2 MEPs elected, Andrew Bronze and Nick Griffin. And 48% of BNP supporters said they didn't consider themselves to be racist. So the problem you had with BNP and the National Front was you had the sort of the rank and file that were moderate patriots, who rightly pointed out the problems with immigration. But unfortunately, the BNP under Nick Griffin and National Front under Martin Webster and John Tyndall really was a Jew-hating, extreme right Nazi party. The National Front, I think, dates back to 1969 under Tyndall. And what one can instantly empathise with their views and their opinions, but we have to sort of take it in the context. These really were the really nasty far right at the time. But but then again, 1968. I think that's 74 rather than 76. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But 1968 was Enoch Powell's "Rivers of Blood" speech, and at the time.
I mean, Dave, if I can just jump in there, right? I hear what you're saying on a political level. I understand that the National Front and BNP, the racist parties, etc.
Yeah.
What they said in that clip, I agree with 100%.
Yeah, so do I.
I think the demographics of our country have changed beyond all recognition. And in 10, 15, and you've done a paper on this, Dave, in the next 80 to 100 years, the white indigenous population of this country will be in the minority. Yeah. Unless we stop hemorrhaging and allowing these people to flood our shores, uncontrolled, undocumented males, giving them all the benefits under the sun, unless we stop that and we start deporting those who are here illegally, those who've overstayed their visas, those who are in our prison system, blocking it up, 14,000 of them, costing the taxpayer millions, 6 million a day for people in hotels. The government and the Conservative government have failed to deal with the problem that we're facing as a country, and it's an existential threat to our very survival, because it's a civilization that's completely alien to our civilization. I want to show you this clip because this is what's coming to our streets. Mark my words, it's coming. These kinds of marches are already happening on the streets of London, Birmingham, Liverpool, and Manchester, all under the guise of pro-Palestinian. We know they've been prescribed as a terrorist group. The Muslim Brotherhood is yet to be prescribed as a Muslim as a terrorist organization. Trump has done that in the US. Many other countries in Europe have followed as well. Take Hungary, for example, and Poland. These countries who understand the complication and what happens when you have open borders. It destroys the very fabric and DNA of your country. And we can talk in nice words and be polite with people, and I don't want to offend. We have to get serious with this because it is a serious problem and it needs serious solutions.
What also struck me about that clip from the white people complaining about mass immigration, a lot of what they're saying these days, you would get a knock from the police the next day if you were on the BBC talking about any of that, or if you put it on X. So look how things have changed. And again, some of Ben's announcements yesterday to get, David.
I was threatened with arrest over a tweet.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, talking to tweets, Dave, you put a tweet out today because the Prime Minister obviously is on the hot coals at the moment. And if I can read this here. Ro, can you read? I can't see.
Prime Minister is a national distraction. Millions of people are struggling to pay the bills, but Boris Johnson and his government are spending the whole time mopping up their own rule-breaking sleaze and deceit. He's got to go. That was from Keir Starmer.
Yeah,
how long ago was that?
Dave, you posted that, Dave, today, didn't you?
I know. I purely for ironical purposes.
Yeah.
So opposition is easier than being in government, but it's not as if not as if Keir Starmer hasn't been warned, and it's not as if it's not as if Keir Starmer has had enough time to at least start to begin to fix our problems. But he's him and Rachel Reeves seems to me inadvertently have gone out to deliberately ruin this country. I
mean, this is a question here. Obviously, at this stage, you've mentioned Advance wouldn't want a general election right now, but Reform would want a general election right now because the polls are showing that they.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you think? I mean, three of you. I mean, take your political hat off now and your allegiance to the parties that we're members of. Do you think he will last till May, or will it be after the May elections before he finally goes?
Well, I'm hoping he stays in power until the May elections.
Okay, Howard.
Well, I don't think. I think we said it already earlier. Who will replace him? There's going to be too many fighting over it. I mean, the unions are going to have a big say in this. I mean, I think Angela Rayner's loved by the unions, but I mean, one of the biggest things is Andy Burnham not being allowed to stand because he's the popular with the people and all those sorts of things. There isn't a true decent successor. And I can't see it happening, and that's why I think, as Dan regularly says, slippery Starmer, he's going to continue to slip through the proverbial colander and stay in power. And you made the point earlier, I think it's very poignant what you said, David, is that they don't, if someone said sorry, truly said sorry and said something, look, hands up, we got this bloody wrong. We got to do this right. We got this big mandate. We will do it, and we will go back to the manifesto and do what we promised. But no, they're incapable, and that's why I'm personally with Advance UK, because I know there's not more of an honest politician than Ben Habib. He is absolutely true to what he says. And yeah, what gets me is what happened when I was with working with Fairfield UK. I worked with loads and loads of backbenchers who absolutely loved the motorists, loved petrol and diesel car, and they wanted low cost motoring and all that sort of thing. As soon as they got walked across into a cabinet position, suddenly they said, we've got to use the motorists as a cash cow. This is the sort of thing. It's amazing how that mindset changes from representing your constituency to working in government. And that's what I hope Advance UK will change.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. On a lighter note, guys, because we're nearly done. Actually, what time is it?
It's
we got 10 minutes left. On a lighter note, it would have been someone's birthday today. A very what I consider to be a legend in the world of television, and it was old Trigger. It would have been his birthday today. Only Fools and Horses. And I just want to show this very famous clip. I know Howard's laughing there. I want to show this very famous clip in memory of him because I was a big fan of Only Fools and Horses. I always think if you're going to come and live in this country legally, you should go through, not the education system, you should watch every single episode of Only Fools and Horses to be absolutely integrated into British society.
I love it. Absolutely.
It's slapstick comedy, but it still makes me laugh every single time.
And he was still holding his glass when he got up.
You beat me to it, Howard. You beat me to it, mate.
I like how Trigger looks around and he doesn't see Del anywhere.
I know.
my favorite moment. He says, "Drink up, Trig. You're cramping my style. You're cramping my style." I mean, just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And, again,
take you back to my youth. When I was in recruitment and. Take your clients down the wine bar for a spot of lunch or some evening drinky poos.
Well, the late John O'Sullivan was an incredible writer. You look at all those episodes that he did. There isn't a single episode you can watch without laughing. I mean, you can watch them. I used to say to my kids when they were younger, I've never seen this one before. And they said, Dad, you've watched this 100 times. But, you could watch them as if it was the first time. They were that funny one day. And we've lost that sense of humour in our country, haven't we?
Sure.
It's become too serious. And And comedy now is so woke.
Yeah.
And, Ricky Gervais always push back against it. But people are afraid to have fun these days, aren't they?
Sure.
Quite scared of saying anything that's going to offend somebody.
Because I was a big fan of Bernard Manning. I didn't play him on here.
I think being a comedian, you are treading a tightrope. You could be arrested for some of the things you say. And people, with the hate crime legislation now that is in the eye of the beholder. If somebody perceives this as a hate crime, it could be investigated as a hate crime. So comedians are such a tough job out there.
Well, Ed, I don't know whether you remember very briefly in the first series of Only Fools and Horses, there's a black boy and a white boy. And the white boy asks Del Boy for a pound to go and buy some crisps, and he says, "Go down the P word store. Here's a quid." And he said, "Well, yeah, P word, yeah." And he actually used the P word. And then he looks to the white boy looks to the black boy and says, "Can he have? He's my brother. Can I have one as well?" So a quid for a bag of crisps. So. Times have definitely changed.
I was going to say, have you noticed though, when you look at Tommy Cooper, Frankie Howard, the two Ronnies, Roddy Barker, and all that sort of thing. Obviously, Fools and Horses. There was no swear words in it.
Yeah.
There wasn't a swear word for saying you laughed, you barely laughed. It's
Carry On films as well. I mean, no swearing, just good slapstick humor, isn't it?
Yeah,
well, unfortunately for me, my dad was a big Roy Chubby Brown fan, so I didn't do that as a kid. So you can see how I turned out the way I did, can you?
Here's a Chubby Brown joke from about 30, 40 years ago, when he was first discovered by mainstream media and the Telegraph. He said, "It's a strange old world, isn't it? You can get a man on the moon, but you can't find one on Martina Navratilova."
Yeah.
I remember a two Ronnie's joke. Next week I'll be visiting a ball bearing factory. I'm somebody who's lost his bearings, but
it makes you chuckle. I mean, you can go all these sorts of things that are going on, but going back to what Richie was saying, people, lost their sense of humour. Because they've been browbeating for what's going on in our country. We're all fed up, miserable, and depressed. I don't know anyone that's jumping for joy. Do you?
Yeah.
Look at Bernard Manning. The guy would be locked up in solitary confinement now for some of his jokes.
Confession here, I'm another. Bernard, I was brought up on Roy Chubby Brown and Bernard Manning, so I don't know if that's kind of shaped my policy of thinking. I don't know, but my late dad's to blame for that. But Bernard Manning, the stuff he says now, you could never get away with, literally. But back then, it was just seen as humour, tongue in cheek. But of course, we've created this kind of snowflake generation where you can't have a joke, a bit of fun with somebody because you're afraid of offending them because of their culture or the colour of skin. And it's just a shame, isn't it? It's a shame all around.
Loads of stupid legislation that Ben talked about repealing yesterday. The 2010 Equalities Act, some of the hate crime legislation, loads of that needs to be chucked out, really, and just wasting police time with name calling and things like this. It's just needs to be taken off the statute books.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, as far as I'm concerned, if you don't like a comedian, you just turn it off or change the channel.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So our time is almost up, gentlemen. Just want to say a very big thank you for coming on the Richie Roadshow. We love having you all on. It's been a full part tonight, our first Sunday Night Live back for a while. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks. We've got some wonderful guests coming on as well.
Next time I'll make a point of not going out for a pissy Sunday lunch.
Okay, please do. Yeah. So you can actually turn up on time. Yes.
Yeah. I know punctuality. It's normally my watchword, but I've nodded off about 6 o'clock. I think 5 o'clock. I can't believe I've slept for 3 hours. Anyway.
Right. Finish off, Edward. What's your kind of hopes and aspirations for your Advance UK in the next months? And of course, we got elections coming up in May. What's your kind of hopes and aspirations for the party moving forward?
There's a big by-election in Gorton and Denton, which is a part of Manchester, and we've got a superb candidate, Nick Buckley, and I'm going to go over and help and leaflet drop for Nick and just get out there as well and talk to some of the local people, get a feeling, get a flavour for what's happening in that constituency, and maybe I can come back on your programme and report back, and maybe Nick could come on here and talk to people. I think that might be a good idea. But I think that's going to be a really interesting by-election, and it's going to get Advance's name out there. We're going to be on, hopefully getting a really good showing, and that's going to be a really interesting one for me.
Yeah, amazing.
February 26th is that election.
Yeah.
Well, there's about 2 or 3 things going on for me. Obviously, I'm still working very hard with the Crowborough protests. I'm still there. I was supposed to be there today, but I unfortunately couldn't be there. But I've been for the last 4 or 5 Sundays, etc. So that's still going on. The other thing also, besides, I'm going up to help with the by-election too. So I'll see you up there, Edward. And the third thing is, would you believe, in a month's time, there is a spring financial statement from Rachel Thieves. And obviously, I'm working closely with certain people in Parliament who still want to see fuel duties cut or maintain frozen because it's going to go up later in the year. So I've got that on the cards because I hear from a reliable Labour Treasury spokesman to say that they might be bringing the 5p, that we had temporary cut in duty by Richie Sunak when he was Chancellor. They might be bringing that forward from the autumn budget to March. So I'm pretty busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you sound it. And you look incredible. I keep on saying, like, you must use something very special because you just look incredible.
He's lost a lot of weight as well. He's been working out in the gym, Ray.
Well, well, David knows this. I've been on the fat jab, you see. And
have you? I'm sorry, I missed that part of the buy-up race. Is it working?
Howard, I was trying to make out you've been doing lots of running and exercise and gym, so now you're going to tell it. You're going to reveal it all.
I've done a lot of walking, and when we go to Crowborough protest, we walk 6 miles, so it does take it out of you that one.
Don't start me off. It took me days to recover from that. I tell you, particularly when you walk up the hill. Yeah. It really did me in. I tell you. Anyway, I wish Advance well. Let's be honest. I'm reform leaning. But I think reform at the worst has to keep Nigel Farage's feet to the fire. I think Advance does have a valuable role to play in politics. And whilst I wish you well, I may be sort of kind of still leaning towards reform at the moment. But keep the good work up, guys. That's all I can say.
Do you know what? This is how it should be, isn't it? We should be talking to each other like this. We should be like encouraging each other. And instead, there's just so much hostility, and that just needs to stop. It needs to stop. Yeah. And I love this. So thank you, Dave, and thank you, Howard, and thank you, Edward, so much.
Thank you, guys. And Rogue said, thank you so much. We're going to kick you off now, not literally, but we have to, because we got our final guest on the show that we want to bring on. He's in the back green room. Is it the green room they call it?
The green room, darling.
We're waiting to come on. But a big, huge thank you. Cheers, guys. Thank you so much.
We love you. Thank you so much.
Good night, guys.
Take care, guys. Good night.
Good night.
What a lovely bunch. We love them all to pieces. Now, we are going to add our new guest on. And the reason we wanted to bring him on was because 3 weeks ago, we did quite a grueling, actually, and quite hearty, and I mean that like a painful and a kind of revelation of what was going on in the Caldy Islands. We had Andrew JAOC.
It was very emotionally draining for me. I didn't think I would be that affected by it, to be honest, because you tend to try and distance yourself from the story to reporting it objectively. But I found myself getting drawn into it and feeling for the survivors. And I think it was one of the most powerful, videos we've done since we launched the Richie and Rogue show, previously Saints and Sinners. And I think being close to home for me in Wales as well, and hearing some of the stories and some of the investigative work that Andrew has done, just an ordinary citizen. It just and there's a lot more to come. That's what we're really excited about, because we want to go further with this, because we want to show those survivors our support on the Richie Road Show.
Absolutely. And I think it's just so important for people to know that they have a safe space.
Yeah.
And we know that Andrew is just a really important part of that. He offers so much. Not just is he an investigator, he is actually somebody with a heart for people. And we absolutely love him, and he is soon to be part of our team, and we are so excited to have him on. Come on!
Good evening. Good evening. How are you?
How are you? Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you.
Yeah, no, listen, thank you for inviting me back on your show. I'm very, very honoured and grateful that you brought me back on. So thank you very much.
It's just such a pleasure. What an amazing guy you are. You know, we stand in awe for everything that you do. I just watch everything, and I'm there just like, this man is amazing. You know, you are doing so much to help people. You know, you're not doing it out of vengeance. You're not trying to find everything just to, you know, kind of go after people. You're doing it for justice, and justice is so important for each and every one of us that has suffered at the hands of somebody else. So thank you for being here. Obviously, the last time the last time we were talking about Coldy Island, and we kind of want to go back to that, because we want to know, for the people that were watching, how did they feel? Because some of the survivors were watching, and I just want to know, from your point of view and from their point of view, how did they feel sort of watching it sort of be aired?
Right. So after the last show, I was, and good to see everybody on the show as well. So again, thank you for letting me come on, and for your listeners and watchers to also understand what really goes on in our world. So after the show, I spoke to a number of the survivors, and let me tell you, the feedback I got was breathtaking. From the survivors' perspective, because they felt that you handled the show really well, empathized, and you understood the issues that they currently have. And I think we managed to get the message out, what was really going on with Coldy Island. But let me tell you, it's got even deeper since we were last chatting. And I think it's a really difficult situation. I spoke to one of the survivors tonight, and this particular person has been, how can I say it, has been pulled from pillar to post, and they continue with the trauma and have some delight in it, I'm really sure. So part of my job really is to now help them bring it to conclusion by getting them not only the apologies that they deserve, but a financial compensation to allow them to go and start their new life somewhere else, because at the moment they relive the trauma every day. And it's called complex PTSD. There's people who know what that means. It means that they're suffering the trauma over a long period of time. And the Catholic Church are continuing with it. So I can give you lots of more details on that, but I'm going to try something first of all, because it's about psychology. Now, remember last time we talked about the colour orange, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to show you 4 cards here. Right now, I'm not a card trick person.
For all our viewers, watch this as well. If you're watching this right now, just follow this with Andrew.
Okay. So this is ace, 2, 3, and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I want you to think of one of those cards. Anyone, Richie, we'll get to you. Richie can think of any of those numbers and just keep it in your mind. Just think about it.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I put them in my pocket, and it's a pack of cards. So as you can see here, they're just normal pack of cards. It's about psychology. So I'm going to take now those cards and I'm going to put them in the deck. Okay. So we're going to put them in the deck. Let's say if you can see the cards deck here.
Yep.
So I'm just going to do it in a way that's, maybe I hadn't prepared for this properly, but one I'm going to put in the middle here. And then I put another one down towards the bottom, and then one here. So that's it, right? So 3 in the way, and I've still got the 1 card in my pocket, which I'll put on the top. Okay? So I want you to tell me, hold the thought a minute, what number did you come up with? A 1, 2, 3, or 4?
1.
Now the other 3 were put in the deck, but you picked number 1. Now, the reason that I knew you were going to pick number 1, it's to do with the psychology of how your thought process. You're very structured. And when you have an idea of how somebody believes in what they're trying to do, just to show you, there's no more aces in that pack than ace of clubs. So just to kind of show you a bit of a random trick. Now, Rogue, I'm going to give you one to think of. Think of a number between 10 and 50. It has to be an odd number, but not the same odd number. So, for example, it can't be 33. So
Okay.
2 have the odd
I
numbers.
know it. I've got it.
Okay. Now you remember the number. Okay, I'm going to write it down. So you've got a number. And Richie will have a number as well in his head. And this will tell me a little bit about you. Okay, so I'm just going to... The reason I'm showing you these things is because it's all about psychology. So think of your number. You've got it there, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Richie's got a number as well. So just I'm going to make it as a backup one. Right, Rob, what did you think the number was?
Am I allowed to tell you now?
Yeah, tell me now.
Okay, 21.
21, but that's not an odd number. 2 is not an odd number, is it?
Oh.
2 odd numbers. And have to be the same. It's all right, all right, all right. So we've qualified that part. Right,
You check with me.
Number. I'm dyscalculia, so it's like dyslexic in maths. So I even checked with him and said, "Is that?" And then he was like,
what number did you think, Richie?
33.
But you can't have the 2 the same.
What do you mean?
Okay.
He said you can't have 3 and 3.
Oh, we're useless at this game.
There's number 37. 37. Now, if people are watching this and they've picked the number 37, if they did it properly, what that demonstrates is they are easily influenced by numbers. And numbers within our society are used to calculate everything. So when we're doing investigations, we look at several things. One is about body language and color, numbers. Yeah, 37. Thank you, Silver Surfer. That number is one that tends, if you do it properly, will tend to come out because it's structured. And the way the society works is that they structure certain things in our society. So we become part of this compartment. And something to think outside the prison block, it means kind of a psychological change. So coming back to Caldy Island, and why I want to mention it in Caldy Island, and there, James, thank you, James, pick 37 as well.
Listen, I failed. I am so sorry.
We're terrible at card games.
That's right, 21. You won't be 21 again. It's fine. It's fine. But the whole idea by the way that we operate, so when we do investigations, they're always very structured, and we look for certain things, and we look for patterns. So that number 37 example would be part of a pattern that we would look for. So it's like an algorithm. We put it into our brains, and we kind of work it out and structured. So as we've developed the whole situation with Caldy Island, we've managed to find the spider's web has gone very, very deep. And that's why I need you guys to come and give us a hand, and we'll visit the island. So what we found out, what we found out since we last spoke, is that we have a number of monks, fathers, I'm going to call them now, that are actually in the society in the Tenby area and have been on the island, have been involved in unexplained deaths. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm not making an exact accusation, but what I'm saying is unexplained deaths are unusual, right? So you have a Father Mansell Usher, who actually was a counsellor to a lady who was having some trauma. The trauma was about her daughter being abused as a child. Now, he was counselling her. Then they fell into a relationship. Now, how do you fall into a relationship when you're counselling somebody with trauma? That should be allowed, of course. So as that developed, she was being traumatized, or she was being disgustingly traumatized about her daughter. Then this woman wanted to ask for answers, demanded answers from the church. Then she had an unfortunate accident. She fell down 2 steps, not a full flight of stairs, 2 steps, and she died. Now she died, she went into a coma, and unfortunately she died in hospital. It's quite a big case. If you look at the case of Swansea, for a lady who fell down the stairs at a hotel called the Mumbles, which is in the Mumbles area, I should say, it's called the Norton House Hotel. Now, the reason I'm highlighting this particular person, because we have a lot of evidence about what actually happened, and we're going to ask the coroner to reopen the inquiry because there was a lot of misinformation given at the time. It then transpires that the same man has done this to other people, and there's been other unexplained deaths to do with wills and from other things. So this whole pattern is not just about who's on the island, but it's about everybody that's been involved. And monks have died unexpectedly. Somebody said there, Father Benedict died unexpectedly in Manchester, and there's another father. So we're finding a pattern of unexplained deaths. One of those deaths is a guy called Keith Dunstan, who actually appeared on the beach on the Caldy Island 2011. Now, his death was unexplained, but he fell into the sea apparently in Swansea area, and he landed on the beach, yet he had no water in his lungs. Now, you try to explain that to somebody, that can't happen, all right?
No.
And at the time, this is the beauty of the whole thing. At the time, there was a father taking photographs on a private beach of a dead man. Now, we have the affidavit statement from the witness. So as we've gone forward, we've developed this into a way where we've been speaking to people that have originally signed NDAs, which of course we can't discuss in terms of actually saying they've given us information on certain aspects. But when you hide a criminal act and you sign an NDA and you know there's been a criminal act, then that nullifies what an NDA really is. Now, I'm not saying we're going to do that in terms at the moment of one or two people, but there are people who haven't signed NDAs and they've come forward and given us statements. And of course, we start to get a pattern. We have a blueprint of that called the Abbey. It has a dungeon, 2 rooms, which are locked continuously by one father, Father Daniels. Now, if you know anything about Cistercian monks, then everything should be open and free and you should be able to freedom. But they have locked rooms. Now, there was a well-known paedophile, a guy called Paul Ashton, who hid on the island for 8 years. Now, we've tracked him down. We found out where he lives.
Wow, incredible.
Now, the police haven't found him, but we found him. Paul Ashton used another game called Robert Judd, and he ran a company called the St. Martin's, called the Cleaning Company, I think it was from off the head. And that limited company was just a front for selling something, not for providing service for cleaning. It's based in Poole in Dorset. Now, there are 8 people in that company, or 7 people in that company. And this is where it becomes interesting. You have the Col Abbey, then you have the relationship with Poole in Dorset. And there start to be links between a large paedophile gang bringing children to that island, and the monks didn't know that he was a paedophile on the run for 8 years, but they organised a doctor to come to the island to help out. And that sort of thing is really becoming a bit of an issue. So we developed a spider web, and I think it would be great to have both of you involved in bringing this to a head, because we are, and somebody just said about black magic, there is a spiritualist, a very famous one who I was speaking to, and he was talking to me about the exorcisms that were done on the island with the nuns.
Oh,
so now they have the dark arts. So when you're talking about, and this is, people have to understand, this is really going on. It's not just something that I'm making up. We have documentary evidence, witness testimonies. We've had people come forward, and then we find there's a bigger paedophile ring based in Poole in Dorset. Now, here's where it gets interesting. There's an island just off of Dorset, off of Poole in Dorset, and it looks onto this particular area where the paedophile gang operated. He's been taken to the island now, called the island, as the island manager. He's worked for a forestry company. He had no experience in running an island with a state, etc., etc., etc. So he is the grandson of a monk. How do monks have children? You know, so you've got all these things. And today, this evening, I have a statement from a former resident of that island. He's 71 years of age, who is giving me a full statement on the abuse that the monks were doing on the island. And here's a former resident, and his family were very well entrenched in the island. And he's 71 years of age. So for me, the whole thing is going really deep. And it's worse than I thought it was. And yesterday and today, 2 of the survivors have had a bit of a wobble. They're not coping very well with it. And the trauma that the church is continuing to do is adding to their life, and they just want to end their lives. And I'm not going to let them do that. I spoke to one of them, and she's a wonderful, wonderful lady. And really, in fact, they're all wonderful, but I spoke to one this evening. And the reason I'm not going to let it go is because this has been going on since 1930. I know I can't do anything about the last 30 years. I actually spoke to a very famous company which was doing, this is where it gets deep, a famous company do dancing on the island. And the lady is an OBE. She's really nice, Alexandra. And she was talking very much about, they've gone to dance on the island, and they've actually danced for the Pope. They've done all this. Nothing went on with this. And she thinks the island was a tranquil place. Now she knows differently. And she's shocked. I've given her the evidence to her. And they're not going back to the island anymore, which is great news to give dancing to the monks. Then you have another really, really testing situation. I have to be a little bit careful here because there's some things I haven't quite qualified yet. But there is a lady who is central to all of this. She claims that she's friends with Cherie Blair. She claims that she's best friends with the First Minister of Wales. She's had a number of positions which are, I can't find anything in her profiles that could have given her those positions as chairman, a chairperson, or director of certain organisations. And she has exerted a lot of influence over the Catholic Church. And if what I think is true and I can calculate it, then I will bring that to the fore. And that's a political thing as well. There's another lady in that island who is a safeguarding officer who's refusing to give SARs, subject access requests, to survivors. You can't just refuse it. So I'm engaging with that now. And so without boring everybody on every single detail, the whole thing is really deep. Yeah, the island's Brownsea, Helen, yes. And it was a person from Brownsea, which overlooks a paedophile ring in Poole. It's the links are just so big. And for me, I've been blackballed by the church. I've been blackballed by the monks. They won't talk to me. And the interesting thing is I've just made 2 complaints to the Charities Commission because they've broken lots of rules. I found out about some property they own in the UK and they've never declared it.
Wow.
And that's where some abuse goes on. Yeah.
I was going to say, Andrew, on that, for our viewers to know, we're so thankful to have you as an investigative journalist on Richie and Rogue Show, and you're going to be part of what we're doing in the future as well, because we want to get to the bottom of a lot of things. We don't just want to be an echo chamber here. We want to get justice for survivors. We want to be able to help those, support them, put up crowdfunding pages for them, whatever it takes, so we can help these people find justice. So this isn't us just about shouting about what's right and what's wrong. It's just putting our money where our mouth is. I just want to ask you on this. I mean, I haven't mentioned it to Rogue in depth, but this might be something that we could put together as a documentary, because mainstream media are not going to cover it. So if we could put this together as a documentary with the testimonies, with the evidence that you have found, Andrew, with your incredible team, we could really, really do a massive expose of all of this, and it could be done under a professional documentary. That we can do it. Because there are people out there that would support that because they believe in getting justice for survivors. Absolutely. So I think that's something we're keen on doing. We're definitely going to come to the island and we'll do some stuff over there, Andrew. Definitely. That would
be phenomenal because we have so much evidence now. What we need to do is we need to showcase that evidence to the world. Yeah. And we can prove everything, not only witness testimonies, but actually legal documents. We can show correspondence. We can show death threats, written death threats. We can show all of that in a documentary, and it would be harrowing, but it would also be cleansing, because then we can start to go after the Catholic Church and the way they're doing it, and how it's linked to politics. Yeah, because they're protected.
I can get you a list of priests convicted of abuse that the church knew about and covered it. And what they actually said earlier was that when one priest or monk is being reported for abuse, they just ship them off somewhere else so they can then repeat that abuse. Correct. That is not like, sorting out.
Do you know what I find interesting, right? There's a lot of emphasis right now, and there should be, with Rupert Lowe and the rape gangs and everything else. There's an inquiry going on that he's obviously put together with his team, and I think he's doing a phenomenal job. And I kept saying this to people, it's important, we have publications of what's happened, but we need prosecutions, not just publications. And I think, this kind of story that we've covered with Andrew on Caldy Island, it would have been dead and buried, right? Had we not put a spotlight on it. The rape gang inquiries had massive amount of spotlight on it, right? Because politicians see it, and this is not Rupert Lowe because he's doing it for genuine reasons, okay? Because some of the people involved in his team are survivors. Yeah. But I think some politicians have used the rape gang inquiry as a political football, if you like. I'm going to say it. Farage has done it. I mean, he said, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And he's reneged on it. He's not doing, and he's not even turned up to any debate on it when they've been in Parliament, So politicians will say things to get votes. We're not politicians. We got the freedom to say what we want.
Exactly.
And to investigate what we want and expose what we choose to, because these people, and I was just thinking, as you were talking about these 2 people in particular, I want to send our thoughts and prayers out to them tonight, and our viewers will do the same as well, because I can't imagine what it feels like, because I've never been through that, but I feel the emotion of it, and I just want to say that we're thinking and praying for those 2 precious people, whoever they may be.
Absolutely. And I'm seeing a lot of the comments here saying historical convictions are difficult, unfortunately. Yeah, as long as somebody puts something in my way, I'm going to climb over that, right? And they are historical, and I know that they're difficult, but the amount of evidence we can prove collusion between the Catholic Church, the authorities, and to have everything covered up. And then we need to get it into light. And the convictions may or may not happen with some of the monks who are still there or whatever, because one is just buggered off. Sorry, I shouldn't use that word. He's just gone off, I would say, back to Belgium. They've got rid of him. Something went to the CPS, and they've turned around saying, despite having a witness, despite having photographs, despite having testimonies, despite having everything documented, he's 76. It's too much trouble. That's because the Catholic Church shipped him off before Father Titus, who's been influential in a lot of the bad things that have gone on. They got rid of him back to Belgium. And the thing for me is, if they had had a DBS check, an enhanced DBS check, I'll guarantee you, because we checked with Interpol, these people have records, right? They have records, and they should not have been allowed on an island, and for it to be hidden, having enhanced DBS checks, because they're not interfacing with people. That's just nonsense. I mean, these people are on that island, and that is only a small part. And I have to tell you, I have about 40 cases at the moment, not including, that is just one. So on those other cases, we have Liam Payne's death, as an example. I'll throw that in for a moment. Liam Payne's death to investigate. We have a person in the Northeast who has been hacked, abused, and grandchildren have been raped by gangs, and he's gone against the Labour government, and he's got a massive case against him. So as an example, that's just another one. And we have so many cases which we're overloaded, and I see people offering some help. There's some groundwork we could do with some help on research that would be helpful, but we will pull people in. We've had people from Anonymous Collective. We've got ex-paratroopers, ex-military guys, military intelligence, but we still need extra support and extra help. And if somebody wants to offer some help, then listen, we'd be happy to chat to anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. We've actually got a really good team. Claire and Jake on here have said that they'd like to help. Alison has said she'd like to help. They're a fantastic team that we've actually worked with for Richie and Rogue. So actually, I think I would trust them in sort of wanting to get the research sorted. I
think if there's anyone else interested in helping as well, if you go to our website, that's come up on the screen now, and just there's a contact page in there.
Can I talk about that for a moment? I know you're running short of time tonight. The person who sent me an email after my last conversation with you guys, where let's say the microphone didn't work so well. This person is so stupid, right? I'm going to say it. I have to say, I haven't told you this. When you complete something on my website on a contact list, right? Pretending using Richie, your email address, which you know, and I'm going to say that if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought, what was he talking? Why is he being like that? But it didn't really, it didn't phase any of us. But that person's so stupid that when you put that on a contact form, they push the button to send. What they don't realize is I capture their IP address. That's easy. My website is managed and helped by the Anonymous Collective. We will collect that IP address. Now, that IP address then gives me their home address, because if you're an investigator, you should know that you get an IP address, we can track somebody's home from that IP address. So I know who sent it.
Right, so in the words of Liam Nielsen, we know who you are.
I will find you.
I will find you.
Yeah. And I'm going to show you something here if I can. I'm going to send you a message, Rogue, right?
Right.
So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to send it from another phone. So it's from another phone number. So you might not recognize the number, but you'll get it. And I'm going to ask you just to click the link. This is a normal text, so it's nothing bad, by the way, for you. I'll just show you this. And it's going to send you a normal link. And I'm just going to send it. This is live TV. I should hopefully get it any second now.
Show me what we've got.
Click on it and then tell us what you see when it comes through. It's from another number. Hopefully you'll get it any second. You got it?
No, you're doing it on WhatsApp or text?
No, text.
Oh, got it. Okay, got it.
Right. Click on it and tell me what you see on the screen.
You're checking my browser before. Oh,
he's on your phone.
So what have you got? What does it say there?
You're on my Spotify.
Spotify, right now. That link I showed you just to show everybody here. So what I've now got is I've got all of Rogue's details from her phone already. Right? This is how easy it is. Not that I need it, Rogue, I know who you are. But what I have with that, and I'll tell you
what stuff now.
this is the thing that can freak people out. But now, what I've got from your phone, and this will prove to the person who sent that information, the idiot that's tried to be clever. I've got that person's details. Now, what I've got from you is I know your telephone type.
Yeah.
Okay. I know your IP address. I know which one it went to. I've actually got all the details of your screen. I've got a dark colored screen. I've got your screen size. You've not got any ad blockers on your phone. It's not an HDR. I've got the name. I've got the browser which you use. I've got your operating system. Now, I won't show this to people, but very quickly I've got it there. Right, they can't really see it. But I've also you've got a touch screen. You've got a touch screen phone, which you have. Yeah. Okay. I know that you haven't got. I know what type of phone you've got. I've got everything. I've got your user agent. I've got everything on you. I'll send you the advanced log list that I've got. Now, just by using that one technique, we're able to get everything on your phone, and I could get access to your phone right now. Is that legal? Yes, it is legal. Absolutely legal. There's a loophole in it, yeah? So if you have a stalker that's stalking you, or somebody that's giving you a hassle or whatever, all you simply do is you create a URL, you send it to them, they click the link, and you get the whole phone. Now, it doesn't mean I get access to your phone, but it tells me where you are. Now, because I'm an investigator, it would not give the normal person your address, but it would certainly give you an IP address. And from your IP address, I would be able to find out what's your local tower, and then the exchange that you use, and then you have a couple of other techniques which I will not say. But we can get it.
Going back to the person that was sending emails, so they obviously used yours for the contact page, right? Not only that, they sent about 13 others. So they've gone to cafe shops and sort of demanding that they give us free coffee, free bread.
If you can send those emails to me, I'll get them and I'll check it the same one.
Yeah, I'll forward them to you. It was interesting. When I was in Alicante, whoever this person is obviously stalking my social media, right? Because I post photos, I don't care, And I was booked into a gourmet restaurant with Paul Thorpe, who I was out there with, took a photograph with, posted on my X account. And I got an email then within an hour saying, you're booked in for a 6 p.m. gourmet meal at this restaurant in Alicante. I'm like, what? They've gone on the contact page of this restaurant and booked me and Paul in for a romantic meal. I mean, it's just nuts.
So yesterday, there was one comment that they put. So Advanced UK had their policy release, right? Their policy launched yesterday. And what this person has done is contacted the actual venue, which was called the Emmanuel Centre. And the comment that was put was, hiya, because we'd actually did a live yesterday to cover it. And we said, we know that you've been sending this out. And he's put, hiya, an apology from me, first of all. I let slip the location of the Advanced event online last week. I'm happy to pay £1,000 towards the inconvenience, ... Come and find me. I have my credit card. I'm at the centre now with Rogue, Richie. We weren't there. We were covering. They're really playing games and they're really trying to go for us. And it's just like, why? Not only they're putting us in Nazi suits, they're literally going out and out to literally just try and put us in debt and do stuff. And we don't know why.
There's obviously a reason that they've got you two in their sights, and it could be political, it could be personal, it could be something. And what you as an investigator, you don't try and do is you don't try and judge why they're doing it. Don't find the reason why they're doing it, because there are things that can impact other people's lives indirectly that you'll never find out about. The focus is identify who those people are. Will the police do anything about it? Unless they do some really excessive thing to you, they won't. But what we can do, my team can do, we can out these people. And we can showcase exactly what they're doing. And I'll publicize it. And then we'll go after them. So in other words, you turn the whole thing around. And this is not about turning the other cheek, being the better person. This is about protecting yourselves and your lives against people that think they can do that. We can make an example of them. And that's what I would do. Now, of course, I can't do it with their say so, but they wrote to me. Well, that means, hang on, you're having a go at me, so I'm going to go after you. I know exactly that person. I know where they live. I know what they work as. I know their name. I know their family. We've done everything. And it didn't take long.
You are Neil.
Yeah, but you know, he said turn the other cheek. I've only got 4, right? So after you finish with those 4 cheeks, look out. Look out, right?
We're getting Andrew onto
yeah,
you.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. And what you do is all for the right reasons and intentions and the motivation for what you do, Andrew. And that's why we're so excited about the future, having you as part of our team.
Yeah.
I mean, we want you to have your own show as well, really.
We do. You will.
JAOC investigates, and you can just do your own show.
Oh my gosh, but I'll be on with you. Like, come on, what are we doing?
You can, yeah.
I'll be doing my spiritual.
I can have a break then. Yeah. That'd be great.
And,
Yeah.
and we have a well-known spiritualist who wants to come and look for help us search for body and for children and all that sort of stuff. So we have lots of things we could offer. So
yeah,
absolutely, it'd be brilliant. Somebody's put here, I use TPR with a built-in VPN that bounces me around 3 countries. I don't think he could hack me easy as he did Rogue.
Okay, so to have split tunneling, to just explain, so when you have a VPN that goes from one country to another country and move it around, we can find out who you are without any hassle. The only way you can get around it is using a VPN which actually changes its location every 30 seconds. Now, there was a VPN system that did that, because anything less than a 3-minute or a 4-minute one, less than anything over a minute, should say, we can normally find it. And it can actually, it's not always easy. So don't get me wrong, it isn't easy. But I could get somebody on now in a VPN that's got bouncing around 3 different countries. We could track that. The tunneling is not secure. What you need is a little bit more than that, which I'm happy to do as we develop something together. I will start to show people how they can protect themselves properly.
And that's what we need, really.
Yeah,
I need to know how to protect
Well,
now.
actually, we need to find out who this guy is, because he sent Rogue a lovely little message here. Or it might be a woman, I don't know. I've got a crush on Rogue.
Paul Morgan.
Paul, we're going to find out where you live, mate, right? So I also want to say a big thank you to Caroline, who's done a super chat and donated £2 to the show. Thank you so much, Caroline.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Really appreciate
I find all this fascinating me, because I'm black and white, you know, calculator type guy, kind of basic stuff. All this kind of technology baffles my head. But I find it incredible. I mean, I know it gets done, but you think of China spying on people and all that. You don't think that, you know, mere mortal like us can come up with all this stuff and investigate. So
well, it's not you, actually.
I know, I'm just taking credit for it. But it's great to think that we have a team of people, and we're going to be working together in the future for the Richie and Rogue show. And of course, as we develop the media further, we got a lot of new stuff coming out in the future. We can't say too much now, Rogue, can we?
We cannot,
No.
but I'm really dying to, because
I know, but there's some exciting developments happening.
Part of it should be I can help protect people online, and lots of lovely things like that as well. And, you know, we can start to give out information. One thing I know before you close your show, anybody that puts their children on social media, I'd ask you to take the children off. I spoke to a mother a couple of days ago about it, because there's a new app that's on the dark web that the paedophile people use, where they can take photographs of children and they can undress those children and share those images with other things. So I'm just to say to people, please, if you've got your children online and you put it on your Facebook page or whatever else, don't need to show it. Just send the photographs to your grandparents, to their friends. Don't put it on social media, because they are being taken off now by paedophiles, and they are used to showcase things. So please, one piece of advice is you don't need to do it.
Yeah, we've got 10 more minutes. So, I mean, I want to...
You'd be on all night, dude.
I'd be on all night. So, look, you know, we've got 10 more minutes, and I want to talk about, you know, we know what's going on with the Coldie Island. We're going to go there. We're going to sort of investigate, and I'm really, really, really excited to do that. But what are we going to tackle after that? What is it that you are now investigating that you are really sort of fired up about?
How long have you got? 10 minutes. I have got. We have actually, there's a lot of cases we've got on the go at the moment. I mean, the Catholic Church is one big one. I would a big shout out to this man here as well. It's back to front. It's Stealing Lives. It's a book written by a guy called Raphael Viola.
That's who we wanted on.
Yeah.
He's the person who's coming on.
He's on the show, I think.
To come on the show. Rogue reached out to him to come on the show, actually.
He is the most, I love this man a bit, and he is a man that's been fighting against the Pope and the Catholic Church for a long time, and he wrote this, and so it brings tears to my eye. He wrote this in here to me. It says, to Andy, I love meeting you. You're a star. Lots of love, Raphael. This man's amazing, and that's a picture of him as a child, right? And he is now, he's in a wheelchair, bless him. He's not that well, but he's fighting every day against the church. So If anybody
has that book?
online and buys book, I'd be very grateful. That would be helpful.
What's this Raphael Viola?
Yeah, Raphael Viola. You find him on social media. He's also called Stealing Lives. He's just the most phenomenal guy, and
just a question on you, Andrew. Someone's asked you, what VPN would you recommend?
Right. Okay. So I wouldn't recommend a free VPN, but if you use a free VPN, I would always use Proton VPN, Proton, and I'd recommend everybody to go to Proton Mail because it's one of the most secure systems for sending emails that we have. Now, if you're sending something from Proton to another Proton user, it's encrypted, so only the person receives it. If you're sending it to somebody else, you can actually give it a password so nobody can open it. Proton are really, really good. So the free one, I would always use Proton. I would say that probably the best one in the market at the moment is probably Surfshark. Probably Surfshark would probably be the one that I would say. But there's a couple of new ones coming up now, which are going to change the IP address every minute. And I'll put that out to you guys.
It feels like we've entered the Sunday morning show, the technology show. You know, we kind of shifted from politics now. I mean, I love this show. It's great, isn't it? It's so varied. We've had Howard Cox on, we've had Edward on, and Dave Atherton, and now we're talking about all this amazing technology. I mean, this is fantastic.
I think you're brilliant.
Someone's asking about Nord here, Andrew.
Yeah, Nord is also very good. They've got NordPass, which is a good password manager. I would always recommend you use a good password manager, but all these can be hacked. Nord is a paid for one, and I would say I prefer Shark probably more than Nord, but there's a couple of reasons behind that, and it's to do with leaking information on, so you can check if your information be leaked on the dark web. But maybe I could do a small section and give you like a 2, 3, or 4 of what I would recommend with VPNs to show you why. But definitely, I'm hopeful this new one coming out, which means it changes your IP address every minute. That would be perfect. But Nord is also very good. But a password manager is not the best thing to have on a system like that. The best one is a cold one. You plug it in to your laptop on a USB and take it out so nobody can get access to it. Because when you have anything else, it can always be hacked. Yeah, and if you want to ban VPNs, they want you to sign your ID to get onto a VPN. We're working on something that will get around that.
Amazing, because I need to understand how to do that. I don't think I've got any protection on anything. When you've just hacked me, have I got any protection?
Anyway, it hacks you.
When you hacked me, then or LinkedIn, I've got no protection.
No,
I need protection.
You see the message I've just sent to you. You see what I've sent to you on your phone. I've listed everything about your phone. Yeah. Yes, there is. There is actually a couple of apps that you can use to. The best advice to give anybody is never open up a link from anybody you don't know, and anybody you don't know, and so anybody that sends you a link that you know, I would open up anyway. So don't open anything up. And that was meant to look like Spotify. That one I sent you was meant to look like a Spotify, but if you read it carefully, it said Stopify.
Oh my gosh!
So Stopify got your information, then moved you to Spotify. So you think, oh, Spotify, I don't know what that was about. That was just to catch you.
Wow.
Fantastic.
I would put some stuff together for a show, and I could run that through in a 10-minute show at some stage, and I'll document it.
I mean, I'm always conscious of
Rogue's faces. I'm like, oh, what? No.
I'm always weary of opening up unsolicited links. So, I mean, when someone sends you something by email or by a message, or, you know, if they got your number, when it says click here, I just don't do it because I know it's going to be fraudulent. But if you think of the people who don't understand how this world works, you can be an elderly person and they have to these days, unfortunately, use smartphones to, you know, even do the basics because that's the world we live in. They're vulnerable and they can click on a link, and before you know, they've got access to their bank details because people carry their bank on their phones these days. And I think that's the frightening part, that people can be literally, they can have their identity stolen, they can have their bank raided. Literally, these things happen, Andrew, don't they?
Well, thank you, £40. It was nice there. I would say that there's a website called Grabify, and that's what I've used just now to catch you. It's legal. There's also a website called Tinhead. So if you get somebody that, I don't know if you've seen it, but if you get a photograph of somebody and you want to check who they are, there's a couple of better ones out, but Tinhead's an easy one to use. You can put the photograph in there, and it will scan 15 billion social media accounts to find out if you've ever been done that. So there's lots of things, but I could do a show on that for you. I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
But what I can say is that there are a lot of techniques. The clear thing is, try not put your passwords online. Don't use one of these organizations. Just use a USB. It's much better. And then if you're going to have something in your house, get a firebox, stick it in the firebox. So if the house goes on fire, you don't lose your passwords. But equally, I would certainly say don't open up any links from anybody. And people do get caught all the time. But you send an email on a contact form on a website like mine, I'm going to get your IP address, whether you like it or not. Now, I don't use that for other people, but this particular person hacked me off. So therefore, I'm going to go and look for the IP address. But when you send an email, most places, when you're tech savvy, we can get from your email, there's actually a coding on it, which we can then take your IP address. So any email you send out, that's why Proton Mail is important, because it's encrypted. And that's much better than Outlook or Gmail or
email.
Any other. Yeah, Proton is the best one, in my opinion. That's what we use.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Hang on, I'm just trying to see what I watch. I don't know who that is. Pierogi on Scammer Payback.
Yeah,
a lot.
It's good. I know him.
Okay.
And the good thing is that these scammers, the people that phone you and try and get you, but that's kind of a bit different from using some some clever techniques. The simple ones are Proton Mail. Use Proton VPN as a starter. That's pretty good. And I would say that never open a link from anybody and save your passwords offline. They're the simplest things I would recommend. But Hushmail's okay as well. Hushmail's okay as well. Yeah. I still prefer Proton, but Hushmail's very same. Firefox.
Oh, now what's a Firebox?
So when I search the internet, I use a Tor browser. Right, a Tor is when you go into the deep web, and you can still use it for other things, of course. But I would recommend, if you're an everyday surfer, I would use something like Yandex. Now, people forget about Russia. Russia are not our enemy, right? No matter what people think. But Yandex is a much safer system to use, and it gives you a much more of an open visual on surfing the internet. When you go to Google, people use Google. Google's run by the CIA. They'll control it all day long. You've got Yahoo, you've got Bing, you've got all these other ones. The privacy on these ones are few and far between. So something like Brave is pretty good. Presearch or Yandex, they're probably the best surfers that you can use. And they give you more unfiltered responses rather than the conditioned ones that the other ones try to give you. That's why sometimes you should be using the other ones.
You had an interesting conversation with Grok tonight, didn't you?
Oh, do you know that Grok lies?
Literally, yeah.
Do you know that Grok lies? I literally could not believe the manipulation coming from Grok. I was sat there just going, you've just lied to me. And I said, you aren't allowed to lie. And he said, no, I'm not allowed to lie, but I'm allowed to bend the truth. And I said, but bending the truth is a lie because you haven't told me the absolute truth. And Grok said, I'm sorry, Rogue. You know, I'm sorry if I've hurt your feelings. I'm like, how do you know about my feelings? And how do you know that a lie is going to hurt my feelings?
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is wrong.
I was mesmerized. She was having a full-blown conversation with Grok. I mean, for about an hour. I was like, what? You know, I was sitting there drinking my coffee thinking, am I in the room or what?
Let me tell you about a couple of things you may not know. So, and this is where the emotion part comes in. So in National Rail, the cameras on National Rail and the major stations are analysing everybody on the platform, walking through it, and so on. And they send that information to a division of Amazon. And that is to assess your emotional reaction to delayed trains, to people getting annoying in front of you, to queues and stuff. Now, that has been processed with Amazon. Now, I've done an investigation on my website about it, but essentially, the National Rail are doing that, and then top 9 stations. They're gathering your emotions, and they can tell what you're going to be doing. If you then take that to another step, Copilot has actually recently changed to being controlled from not being so controlled. Now, I knew that, I identified it, and they've admitted it, but there's a couple of clever things in here. Now, what we are experiencing is AI control, right? But I'm going to tell you the secret now. Thankfully, some good people are working in AI control. In other words, the people who are building those systems used to be good hackers against the government. They're working within. and they're slowing down certain things, and they're creating issues. And that's important for us while we start to understand what AI is really going to do. And to give you an example, in America, there's an area in Texas which is underground, which is, I think, 1,000 football pitches put together of computers that we know about. And they are self-replicating computers. So in other words, if you can remember, you remember, Rogue, I didn't, I haven't had a baby, but your umbilical cord, when it's taken off, is usually at the moment given away to 4 companies, and they're owned by BlackRock, by the way. And the stem cell research from that is to help your family in the future, right? In theory, it's not. Part of that was used to put in the DNA of computers. Now, DNA in computers needed a huge amount of DNA to keep it going as an AI. It is now self-replicating without the need for any DNA. So we've gone past the level of feeding DNA into a computer. That's finished. It's now self-replicating as a computer and doesn't need the human DNA anymore. It already knows how we operate. That's a scary thing. Now, there's a scientist there's a scientist I know in the UK. He is battling this technology himself, almost himself, single-handedly. He's a Nobel Peace Prize winner. And he is doing what he can to stop the growth of these computers by destroying the infrastructure. Now, this is something we don't show on social media because you can't, and you'll never hear about it. It's the same as a guy who died in America he unalived himself in his bathroom. So he sat down, he was a whistleblower against ChatGPT. He sat down, made his lunch, he started eating his lunch. He then went to the bathroom. He decided to end his life by putting a knife through the back of his body, which his arm couldn't reach unless he was a contortionist. And the blood in the bathroom was just there for show. He was killed because he had information on what ChatGPT was doing and developing.
Wow.
And those sort of things are happening all the time. So
going
back to DNA
Burnham, and you're going to laugh at me because this is a really stupid question, but I was watching something called Years and Years, and what the premise is that it's the script of what's going to be happening now. So actually, everything that they've said is going to happen has so far happened. But the one thing that they were talking about was the artificial intelligence. But instead of it being artificial, it was intelligence from us from when we die. So they vacuum it, or however they do it, they would actually have our intelligence. So this is what I'm going. Is this what's actually happening? Because I even said, are you artificial intelligence or are you intelligence? Because I need to understand what actually you are, because you're talking to me, you're understanding my emotions. And I know you said that you've got the cameras to kind of do the face recognition of how we're feeling, but there's something so wrong in the way that it does it. Go on.
No, I was thinking your numbers in X have been going up, and you've been speaking to your phone, haven't you?
Right. I decided to do a bit of a trial. I was like, so I talk to my phone, right? It's not on. And I would say, okay, right, I really want to get another 1,000 tonight. So can we please
1,000 followers on X?
Yeah, 1,000 followers. Can we do this, please? Can we do that? And I promise you,
it works.
It worked. And I was like, what the hell is going on?
You even tell your phone, I've had a tough week, please give my numbers,
It's bizarre.
Emotional as well.
What is going on? Tell me.
I'll tell you how advanced that is now. It's not just you talking, your phone picks up everything, even when it's switched off, right? Even when it's switched off. You should put your telephone in another room and lock it in a box and have it nowhere near you. You should switch your Wi-Fi off at night time, because that is bouncing around your house and causing you so many issues with what they're doing with the technology. Now, at the moment, your transponder, your box in the corner in your room, that can tell you, whoever's asking whereabouts in the house you are, it knows all about your movements. How many times you go to the toilet, how many times you make a cup of tea. This box, this router, knows everything that you do and can feed that information off to somebody else. That happens now. Smart meters, exactly the same, right? So that technology in your house is being used to monitor you. You were already in a prison with the technology. You should always switch your Wi-Fi router off at night time. You should always put your telephones into another room. You should get rid of your technology wherever you're sleeping, because that will affect your sleep. Now, already what you say, if you speak about, I like to go on holiday, I fancy going to Tenerife. you'll get adverts on your phone.
Yeah, you do. You even said this, didn't you?
Yeah.
So that's one part, but it's gone a stage further now. It's your thoughts and your sound waves from here. It's projecting itself into your television and your router. So they're now already taking that information from you without you realizing it, because the technology is so advanced. In America, they're using 25G. We're on 5.
Wow.
6G cables have already been laid. The advanced technology, when you die, and there's laboratories, I'm not very good at saying that word, laboratories in all over the world where they will take people and they actually allow them to die. So they take the brainwaves that moment they die, and they can work out where they're going. They already know that. Now you can talk about all sorts of things about, are we in a simulation game? All these things, nothing is beyond the realms of possibility. So, to give an example, you walk into the street, right, and all of a sudden people appear from nowhere. I've seen it. We've done work with intelligence agency. I can't name them, but it's an intelligence agency that has been doing that. They've been watching how people get moved about and what happens when you leave your home, where the traffic comes from. It's almost like they're placed there and again. I'm not saying that is happening, by the way, but there's a lot of work being done by some of the intelligence agencies to try and work out how this is happening. Now, I'm going to go back to something I mentioned before about in the movies, they tell you the future. Now, Andrew Tate, whether you like him or not, right, and I can't say whether I like him or not. I had a chat with him once, and he explained to me, if you put a box of apples at your front door, and somebody comes along and picks up an apple and takes a bite, who takes ownership of that option of taking that bite of an apple? Well, he did, because he made the choice of picking up the apple. He said, but if that apple was poisoned and he died, whose fault would it be? Well, the guy who picks up the apple. Now, if he put a small sign on the side of the box, so small you could not read it, and it says, these apples are poisoned, and they pick up the apple and eat it, whose fault is it? Well, it's going to be the person who should have seen the sign, because they already said on the box. So you've got to work out. So in other words, you pick up the apple, it's poisoned. Well, that would actually be the person who left the apples there, really. But you put a small sign on it, saying he's a poison. You pick up the apple, eat it,
absolutely.
Then it's take responsibility. So we allow this to happen, even though it's in plain sight. So we're buying into it. So we're signing a contract, really, and saying, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Whatever you do to us, it's okay, because we can see it. And here's a really good example. Any movie you watch, everything. I watch Airplane. I don't watch movies anymore, right? But last night I decided to go on YouTube and look for Airplane, because I had to think something about Leslie Nielsen in my head. And on the Airplane movie, and I loved that when it came out in 1980.
Great comedy.
But there's a part where the pilot says to the child, right, have you been into a man's gym recently? Have you seen a Turkish wrestler's jockster? I can't remember what his name, the words he used. And I thought, this kid was there talking to an adult about sweaty bollocks. That's so wrong. So that was in plain sight. We laughed about it. So they're telling us in plain sight things that they're doing. And for me, we have to be more aware of it. I think we have to do it. And the Epstein files, I want to mention that. I had the Epstein files before anybody did, right? I'm going to go back to 2.5 years ago. In fact, 2 years ago. In the December the 27th, before it was made public about some people were coming out, I said at that time, you'll find, if you're a football fan, Arteta, Arsenal manager, Epstein Island, X9, and I'll name loads of people that were not known and have never been released necessarily. And then some information started to come out now, 2 years later. This is a distraction. These 3 million files is a complete distraction. In other words, what is really going on? It's not about a small island where you can fit 50 people on.
No.
We're talking about hundreds of thousands of children being abused by the people over here. But we're focusing on this little bit here. That's the game. And they're harvesting our energy. So for me, I think we have to, wherever we see, and I don't read the newspapers either, but whenever you see, please don't be distracted by the bigger picture. They're showing you one part they want to show you. You've been at this game for hundreds of years, and they're showing us something that disgusts us, but the real thing is going over here. And Epstein, I spoke to a New York detective. He's telling me he's still alive because they cut the feed for those 3 minutes. There was already a wagon booked outside, which was there 4 hours beforehand to take him away. It was all planned. And people say, well, he's murdered. And well, you could say that.
He's still alive.
Whether he's alive or not, it's a distraction. Putin did not employ him. I'm not saying the Israelis did either. I'm not saying who did it. But the blackmail system in our world had been going on for such a long time. It didn't matter who employed him to do it because it's been going on forever. The bigger picture is forget that small bit there. Look at this bit here. And we will become the minority soon. We need to start.
Yeah, we know that. So with Jake here, wasn't there a consciousness uploading the Epstein files? Well, we were actually looking, and it was between China and who else? I'm trying to think who it was. Basically, we found the files, and there was a massive event where they was talking about like the consciousness, and actually how to extract that. And actually, China is massive on that, and that's what they're doing at the moment. So it does worry me.
And I get really hacked off about this Palestinian thing, right? So none of us want children to be dying, right? And everybody blames Israel. Now, I believe firmly in my own head, right? And this is not a political thing. I don't want to get in politics. But Israel is placed over here with a number of things. But we're missing the bigger. That's a small part. What's the bigger part here? China is huge. They're involved in everything. Super Embassy in London, running Starmer, all the rest of it. And therefore, sometimes we've got to look at the bigger picture and not just focus on a little war here, a little war. It's the overall. And we're missing that. We're missing that. We need to be more open.
Yeah, Mandelson in China. It was actually Mandelson.
Yeah, I find it ironic that Keir Starmer, when he went to China on his state visit, you know, he goes there with a burner phone, but yet in his backyard, he has the biggest embassy of the biggest spying regime in the whole of the world, and he gives them permission. In fact, it was Boris Johnson who sold the land to them, actually, 10 years prior, and then give the green light to Keir Starmer did for them to build the largest embassy in the whole of Europe, where they have unmarked rooms. Because when they put in for planning permission, they had to explain what each room was going to be used for. And the word they used, we have unlabeled rooms. Now, I'll let you make your own mind up about that, folks, but that tells you all you need to know, because we know that the history and the track record of the Communist Party, you know, in China, they have a history, a long history of taking people and torturing them, literally. And that's not conspiracy, that's a fact, right? And why Starmer will allow that to happen? He's obviously brokering deals with China, economic deals with them, for them to have the largest embassy in the whole of Europe, in the heart of our capital city of London. I mean, it just beggars belief, doesn't it?
You can't. I mean, I can't get my head around how we're allowing him to fucking do this.
No,
that's what
all right.
Because for me, China has always been at the root of all evil. If you look at, even go back to the main event in China when this all happened back in 19 whatever, when you look at how the Communist Party was built up and the supposed Trotskyites and everything else, you actually, our whole history has been changed. And what happened there did not happen. And I was in a room here. I'm going to name drop a minute. I was in a room with President Putin in 2012. I was at the World Economic Forum working for the Dutch government. And the room I was in, he said a story about what he did in terms of how he protected his embassy. When that Great Wall of China, when that Great Wall came down in Berlin, he stood on the steps of his embassy. And all the demonstrators, all the people who want to rip up the Russian embassy were flooding into that area in East Berlin. And he stood on the steps of his embassy with a gun. And he said to the crowd, and this is what he told us, I have got 12 bullets in this gun. Now, 11 of you are going to die. The 12th one is for me. But you're not getting in with the people dying. Now, you listen to me. I'm not a Putin apologist. I mean, every country has its issues. But I'm telling you, I'd rather trust Putin than I would trust Starmer. Obviously, it's actually anybody than Starmer. And Guy Fawkes, by the way, you know, he was misunderstood, Guy Fawkes. But I think if you look at China, the way that they've carried on from that communist regime and how they got involved in obviously in Russia and how they got hold of that, you see Russia's moved kind of full circle because they were going down the route of total communism. But for some reason, Gorbachev stopped that. And that is, you got to, and a true story here. There was an attack in Russia in 2020, which was not publicized here. There was an event at the KGB, as in the FSB headquarters, in 2020. There was an attack which was not publicized, and there's a coordinated attack also with Gazprom. now, which are the largest gas suppliers. Now, everybody's been to Moscow before will know there's a central lane which is carried on right through Moscow, and that is where the trucks and the blacked out vehicles with sirens go off all day long. Diplomatic vehicles, police, everything. And you cannot tell who they really are. A group of people turned up at the FSB headquarters and were going to breach it with black uniforms. Now, they're another group of people that's not been seen in this world. They're a group of people with black uniforms. Now, I don't know what organisation they belong to. Well, I do, but I'm not going to speculate at the moment. But they were going to attack the FSB quarters. But thankfully, somebody from within FSB had decided to go and tell Putin, make him aware the attack was going to happen. So he was going to originally let them in, but he changed his mind. Now, they took over Gazprom for a whole week. There was a huge impact. A lot of people were killed, and they eventually caught these people and they took them off to Siberia. The event in the FSB headquarters was failed, and a lot of people died. Now, they didn't publicize that anyway. And that you could talk about a new world order, because to be honest with you, Russia is seen, and I'm not saying he's right, but they are seen by a lot of people as being a little bit more open than our own people and Trump is. So I'm not going to judge him one way or another. All I can tell you, there was an attack which they thwarted, and that impact has an impact across us, because that led to the Nord Stream situation, which was done by the British and the Americans and the Norwegians. Why would he blow up his own oil stream pipeline to Europe when he could just switch off the tap in Russia? He didn't need to do it. So all these things that we're told about, we've got to look past the amount of information we're given by our media and everybody else, trying to play us one off against each other. So coming back to the whole scheme, Starmer is in bed with Russia. He's being played by somebody. And I noticed that guy McSweeney got booted out today.
Yeah.
It's been a big issue for a long time. But they'll replace him with somebody else that can control the Prime Minister. So
well, if you look at McSweeney, he's a prodigy of Peter Mandelson. He was his kind of apprentice. So I mean, you know, and obviously we know Mansell's connection with the Epstein files as well, which we're going to cover on one of the shows. We're going to do a whole show to that, because the team and you, Rogue, have been looking at that, haven't you? Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I mean, my head is just baffled, Satya. I don't know about the viewers watching. It's just so much information to take in, but it's all stuff that people need to be made aware of. And I think I'm very slow at catching up with things. So you have to bear with me, Andrew. I'm not as fast as Rogue. It takes me a while to catch up, right? And I'm one of those, I like to read things rather than hear things. So I'm more like...
Process it.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, what I say to you all the time.
Yeah, I like to process.
I like to process it. Yeah, I like to process things, and my processing computer brain is a lot slower than most people.
It is, yeah. I'll vouch for that.
That's not a bad thing to read things and take time to take it in. And most of what we do is I'm sorry about Brown Infiltrator. Sorry, my brain works at 100 miles an hour, and it's just the style, because we have so much going on. And thank you very much for letting me come on. I know you've overrun with time now, so just thank you so much for allowing me to come on tonight. I really appreciate it.
No, you are so welcome every night. I mean, love having you on, and I think, you know, we need to do another show very, very soon, and we discuss, like, you know, the next project. But I do think we need to get a date in the diary to go over to the Goldie Islands, and I think we need to start doing our investigative stuff. So Claire, listen to Claire. My brain has exploded.
You can sort that. And I would like to say to everybody that's listening, that's still here and they've not gone to sleep, is trust the world. There are good people like us that have a heart in the right place. We don't always do everything, let's say, the right way. Maybe there's some things we maybe do wrong, but we know where our final destination is. And I think it's so much in a way that there are good people that want the world. We want our grandchildren to live in a better world than we currently live in. It's up to us to do something about it. And so please never lose hope. There are good people out there that really, really, really want to do the right thing and help the world. And we're not all bad people. But please just make sure that you trust your instincts, you question everything. If it doesn't make sense, question it again and question it again. Because by that way, you're not going to have the wool pulled over your eyes. And I'd like to say, Alexa Goodman, I won't watch any of these ones. And I use football as my escapism. So if you don't mind me, apart from from saying please have a chat with Stealing Lives. I'm gonna plug something called Long Bangers Podcast. They're a group of guys from the football club I support. They're doing really well, and I have an escapism, and I know these guys really well, and it's my only escape from the real world. I can think about how shit my football team can be, and that allows me to forget about all the other nonsense that goes on. But I would like to say that talking to you two is a pleasure, and I know you've got other guys around. I very much appreciate your time.
What was the name of that podcast again? These guys you mentioned?
Called Long Bangers Podcast. Long Bangers.
Yeah. Long Bangers.
Long Bangers Podcast. So please
have a look at that, guys. Check it out.
And we have a big cup game this week. My team, Hibernian, are playing Hearts. It's our big derby. And the end of the world can happen after that game, providing we win. That's what we look at it.
Well, you want to try being a Welsh fan watching the rugby at the moment. It's quite depressing.
Oh, rugby. Scotland lost yesterday. I've forgotten about that already.
Right. I just need to go to this quickly because Darren has been saying this for a majority of the time. And it says, on Thursday, Donald Trump signalled his approval for the move, describing Sir Keir Starmer's agreement as the best he could make. Trump called it crazy before. So is Trump and Keir in cahoots somewhere?
No, definitely not. I mean, on the Jacob Silence deal and everything else, I mean, there's no way Trump... I mean, it's just my personal opinion. Obviously, I don't think there's any... Donald Trump has got no time for Keir Starmer. None whatsoever. He's just nobody to him. I mean, he's just irrelevant. He's irrelevant to most people on the international stage, to be honest. He's the most hated Prime Minister, apart from Tony Blair, I think this country has ever had. I mean, if he went to a general election tomorrow, he'd be wiped out completely, absolutely annihilated, and he knows it. He's clambering onto power now because in his last chance, and I've said this to you, Rogan, in discussions months ago, the last card he has to play is to take us back into the EU. That's the only card he'll have left because he knows there is a majority, a lot of people who voted for Brexit. Because we didn't get the Brexit we voted for, it was half-baked, they'll say it didn't work. And so he's looking at the polling on that, and more people now want to go back into the EU. It's a new, younger generation as well of voters, where they see, the freedom of movement and everything else is going to work and live in Europe because this place is a shithole. That's how they see it. They want to go work and study and live over there under the Erasmus program that he's ploughing money into. And he's trying to take us back in customs union, the single market, and that is the only card that he has left to play to save his premiership. But I think it's way too late for him. I think
he wants to get back in single markets. He's got 5 rent boys to pay for, hasn't he? So
exactly.
That's due up at the end of April. So it's an open court, so people can go along and listen to what happens. I think it's the 28th, I think, from memory. And the other thing I would say, as far as Starmer's concerned, he's so stupid that when he was the DPP director, he had meetings in Washington with the CIA. Now, he didn't tell anybody he had meetings with the CIA. But the Americans didn't delete the meetings. So I've got copies of the dates he had the meetings with the CIA. He's so stupid he didn't do that. He then went to Miskin Derea, who were money laundering lawyers, which you probably know about. They had a case. They got fined $250,000 for money laundering. And then after that, he then became, let's say, an MP. At the same time as an MP in a constituency that he was going to get into no problem, go in the shadow cabinet, undermine Corbyn. He was having a meeting with the Trilateral Association, which is a CIA operative organization. Then you have Brighton, I think it was Brighton and Liverpool were the two that stood by Corbyn, and they managed to get people in there to actually undermine them. I think Anna Neagle was a stalking horse. Then he took over. And of course, the Tories were doing such a bad job, he was going to get in. So you've got to understand, blue or red, one and the same for me. I just don't like politics.
Absolutely. Somebody's just asked for you to plug your channels. So you're on X.
Well, I'm very small on X. I'm actually still allowed on TikTok and Facebook at the moment. So I'm under a couple of things in there. So you find me as a JAOC. You'll find me on TikTok, but also you'll find me on Facebook under Andrew JAOC, I think. But my website's the best one, which is www.jaoc.org.uk. All my investigations are on there.
We've got that.
Delighted. Perfect. Thank you very much for that.
It's okay. We've been practicing. There you go. And then the last one is people are just saying thank you very much for coming on, and they've really enjoyed it. And people are just saying they've learned a lot. And there we go. This is Alison, learned so much tonight. I think I've become a sponge. I think that's brilliant. And
Well,
then, again,
if you do a technology hour, I mean, that's something we could do in simple stuff and help out. And Rogue's obviously got that thing on her phone now saying, "Oh my God, he knows all about my telephone pipe and my screen and touch screen and easy."
Yeah,
and it's legal.
Absolutely phenomenal, brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, we can't wait for the next show because we're going to get you on exclusively again.
Absolutely, it'll be amazing.
We want to carry on with the Collie Island story, but obviously we've got loads more to come. That's why, folks, important you like, share, and subscribe to the Richie and Rogue channel right here on YouTube and on Facebook, follow us on all social media platforms, because it's important you hear the truth. If you hit the notify me button here on YouTube as well, every time we go live, you won't miss a single show. And we thank you, every single one of you, for your regular support. Thank you for all of you on the community as well. We post things regular on there. We got a list of questions. We have Ben Habib on the show on Wednesday.
Yep.
We also have David Curtin on Tuesday, who is the leader of the Heritage Party. It's a Christian party, actually, a political party. He's going to be on the show. He stood against the pandemic, scandemic, and vaccines. He's going to be on the show on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we have Ben Habib. Many of you have posted your questions to us, which we will post to him. And there'll be, no holds barred, unfiltered, and whatever you've asked, we will put to him and get as many of those questions through to him as we possibly can. So please, please, please stay tuned. Share the broadcast, repost, like it, and don't forget, it's always unfiltered.
Take care, guys.
Cheers, guys.